Hey Leadheads, Dwight Settle with Seal One. Just here to talk to you and tell you a little bit about our product. Seal One CLP Plus is a bio-based, non-toxic product. It comes in a paste, liquid, aerosol, and pre-saturated bore-specific patches called sealskins. They all do the same thing, just different methods of application. The best way to use our product is to start with a clean firearm. There's two reasons why I say that. First, you start with the Seal One CLP Plus by field stripping your firearm and covering the entire firearm inside and out, bore, barrel, everything with the Seal One CLP Plus. You'll see how easy it spreads around. You'll want to wait about 15 to 20 minutes. Then you come back and you want to wipe it all off. So you see how easy it is to put on and remove. And the second reason we say to use a clean firearm is you'll find that it's not clean. We're going to pull out more carbon that's been left behind with whatever product you've been using before. Okay, it takes about 3 cleanings, so I like to say a clean shoot, clean shoot, clean shoot, just normal usage before the Seal One CLP Plus has removed whatever product that you were using before and has seasoned the firearm. It's kind of like breaking in a cast iron skillet. And after that first cleaning, you will notice a difference. And with each successive cleaning, you will find that it gets easier and easier to clean. Seal One CLP Plus is a dry lubricant and is designed to work as such. You will find that malfunctions are virtually eliminated when used properly because the majority of all malfunctions are caused to carbon buildup. And with the Seal One CLP Plus, the carbon does not build up. Seal One CLP Plus is safe on all metals, plastics, composites, polymers, rubber, wood, and leather. Seal One CLP Plus is a one-and-done formulation. No other products are required or needed to clean and lubricate and protect your firearm. That's why we say Seal One and done. Seal One is a proud sponsor of the Talking Lead podcast and the Leadhead Brigade. Use the code LEADHEAD for a 25% off discount.
Okay.
We're good.
We even tried hooking up my freaking Rode video recorder.
That's
or the video microphone.
Yeah.
Just stick on top of my camera, but
I got one of those
plugging that thing in on the Skype page.
I appreciate
that. The more thing, and you go to audio video settings, it doesn't give me any other option other than the iMac key microphone.
Is there a on-off switch? I hate to be so obvious.
No, there is. Yeah, right here. I just turned it on and off again, and yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, well, we're going to go with this. Jesus Christ, like the $100 headphone set doesn't work, but the $16 earbuds.
Those usually work the best, man. Seriously.
Oh my.
Perfect. We'll make it work. I'm good.
Go live.
I'm good. Fuck it, we'll do it live. All right, now that we got our audio visuals all worked out, we're ready to go. Let's do this.
2 hours in.
Let's do 2 hours in. 2 hours in of our 8-hour show. Here we go. So,
right on.
Leadheads, welcome back to another episode of the Talking Lead podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Okay.
This is a work in progress, so we'll constantly improve it throughout the show, Leadheads. I promise you. So if you didn't get a chance, make sure you go back to the last episode. We had a great episode. It was the one that we did the SHOT Show review. And we had the beautiful, the talented, the wonderful Bildo Teabaggins, which you two guys know. That's how we were introduced, and I'll introduce our guest here in just a second. We also had Tom Kane with Enforce that joined us. Good old Tom. And then Maddie Scholar, and she's down there with Jason. She's down in the Georgia area, and she walks on planes, those biplanes, and gets out and walks on the wings and stuff.
No, sounds like my kind of woman.
Silly. It's just silly. Well, she is young. She's in her 20s, I think, but she started her own training company, so she's into the firearms training and whatnot. So she'd probably be a good person for you guys to know. She's down there in Georgia also and hooked in with the Daniel Defense guys. So make sure you go back, check out that episode, Leadheads. And we've got a great AK corner coming up this month, so stay tuned for that. So I'll introduce our guests now. I'll let them introduce themselves. As you saw on our social media post, we're going to be talking about long-range precision shooting, sniping, LE snipers, law enforcement snipers, is what we're going to be really focusing on today. And then, of course, toward the end of the show, we're going to read the listener questions, and we've got awesome giveaways that we're going to be doing. Seal One, sponsors of the Tongue Led Podcast. We're going to give away one of their awesome cleaning kits from Seal One. But Jeff, Tyler, welcome into the show. This is the group from Standing Offhand, and they do precision rifle training. They do pistol training. They're out in the Arizona area. Decades of military and law enforcement between the two. But I think what would be fun if I let you two introduce one another. I think that'd be fun. So, Jeff, let's start off with you and let you introduce Tyler. Jeff Chang, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. So my partner in crime, my business partner, the love of my life, almost, Tyler Ellsworth. This man, he works for the Prescott Police Department up in Prescott, Arizona, which is about 2 hours north of where I live. He's been doing he's been in this profession and doing this job for over 20 years. In fact, the son of a bitch is preparing to retire for good, and I am insanely jealous of that man.
I think he's going to go into MMA or something. He's a big dude.
Yeah. We call him the War Panda, and that's about right, because he's violent on one side and just huggable and lovable on the other, which is why we get along so well.
This is why I wanted you guys to introduce yourselves. This is awesome.
Yeah. So, but Tyler spent some time in the U.S. Army and served at I don't know what the damn Army calls it, a post, a station, whatever, a fort. No, it's probably not a fort because it was in Germany. So he spent some time in Germany, and then came back home here to Arizona and joined the police department, and he's been rocking it since whatever years, 20 years ago. Tyler has been on their SWAT team for a number of years, and has primarily, although he has fulfilled many roles within the SWAT team, like his primary focus has been as a sniper, and he's got a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge. He and I have been working together for the last 10 or 12 years, doing some instructing and helping folks out here. And it came time, after years of talking about it and procrastinating, it came time for us to form Standing Offhand together. So Tyler Ellsworth, absolute brother, family in the truest sense of the word, and I love the man to death.
And now Leadhead, so welcome in, Tyler. Appreciate you joining us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, man, thanks for having us, man. We've been super stoked to get this. We met Bill at SHOT Show, brought this up. We were super excited to get in here and sit down and have a conversation with you for sure. So we super appreciate you having us on.
It's going to be all our treat here from the Leadhead Brigade standpoint. So he did such a great introduction for you. Let's hear yours for Jeff.
So Jeff, man, he's led the career that everybody wants, in my opinion, man. He's done it all. Wealth of knowledge, probably one of the most humble people I know. Has the ability to talk, walk the walk, but he does it in two different forms, whether it's technical or, on the bottom end. Me and Jeff met, 15, 16 years ago at an instructor school. It was that instant, the movie Step Brothers. It was that, middle of class. I think we looked at each other and went, "Did we just become best friends?" Yep. The stereotype of a sniper is that you're kind of the quiet, meek, mild one, or not meek and mild, but you're the quiet, stand off in the corner, do your own thing. And me and Jeff are quite the opposite of that. We're loud, kind of outspoken, the biggest jokers, and literally I think the entire class hated us, and we laughed and joked through the entire process. Through that time, man, me and Jeff had the opportunity to do a bunch of stuff together. his career's been amazing. LAPD, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Phoenix PD, ran Phoenix SAU's sniper program, been deployed as a contractor, Marine Scout sniper. But literally, man, he's my brother from another mother. His family and mine, man, we just melded together. They took me in like I was one of theirs, man. It's just never been a question. Anything comes up, man, he's always the first person I call, and I would suggest anybody in the world do the same. So that's kind of where we've been together. Like you said, we started Standing Offhand together through a conglomerate. If you go on our website, actually, our entire program is based off of my picture on our website. So when you go on there and take a look at it and find my picture on there, you'll understand the meaning of the name of our company. So that picture actually started this entire program.
Well, let's do that then. Well, while you're talking, go ahead, Jeff. I'll pull this up for our viewing audience.
I was gonna say that is an interesting story and pretty fantastic. So if you go to the bio page, the team right there. So that photo right there is the nexus of Standing Offhand. That is the photo that defined not only the name, but perfectly
says
represented the attitude.
If we were doing a picture meme, that would be what you would have to password. Is that the game? If you're playing password and this picture came up. So for our listening audience, if you're not watching the video, you go to their website, the team page, and there's a picture of Tyler on the right-hand side. It looks like a beautiful, picturesque background scenery, and he's got his back to the camera, kind of looking to his right, and then between his legs, you see this stream of water flowing down between his legs.
Yeah,
he's taking a whiz in nature. I like it.
It's about perfect. When we saw that photograph, like, I rushed over to Tyler and I said, "This is it. This is it. Like, this defines exactly who we are, right?" And the landing page, the home page for the website defines the term standing and offhand, and that is exactly what we try to represent, right? Standing, a position from which one may assert or enforce legal rights or duties, a position relative to a standard of achievement. And then the word offhand, and it's spelled specifically that way because if you separate the words off and hand, it becomes something different. But offhand, from the colloquial term, ungraciously or offensively nonchalant or cool in manner, cavalier, informal, or brusque. Like, that describes the two of us, our personalities, and our attitude towards what we're doing with Standing Offhand perfectly, and that's exactly why it's named Standing Offhand. So
I like that.
Plus, there's that double meaning, right? Because
words have meanings.
Standing Offhand is a position from which you folks have been shooting rifles for centuries. It's that unsupported standing offhand position where only you are supporting that rifle, and that's what it is. So it does have kind of a double meaning. It was named that way for a reason.
Double entendre.
But that photo is the one that tells the story.
Sums it up. I love that. It's awesome. So we're gonna learn more about you guys. We're gonna learn more about Standing Offhand. Are we gonna talk about your other company also, or is that just kind of an amalgamation of both companies there?
Well, the other company is called Dead Drift Consulting. That is the LLC that Standing Offhand operates under. And I've gotten a lot of questions from friends and coworkers to ask, like, why did you separate Dead Drift Consulting, which was kind of established, I guess. I mean, I don't like social media is fun.
Yeah.
And it is no shit. It is a marketing tool. Like anymore in today's society, if you're not on social media with your thing, then it's not gonna.
Is it really a marketing tool, or is it more of a statement, a status? It's kind of political. platform?
So I think the answer to that question is both, or is yes.
Well, I think it started out as marketing, but it has turned more into a self-serving agenda presenting political platform.
But I can't, as much as I want to, I can't deny the numbers and the statistics and the results that people get from the use of social media. I mean, it's part of the fabric of our culture anymore.
Well, Instagram is amply named. I will give it that, because you get you post something interesting, it gets instant results.
Yeah,
good, bad, or
indifferent. A lot of it comes to though on how do you use it? How are you applying it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, are you putting it on there to promote you, or to promote the theory that you're trying to promote? And you know what I mean? So
I know what you mean, but the
ways.
people that are on there want to see a certain thing. So are you catering to those people to get clicks? Are you doing the clickbait thing? Or are you being true to who you are and what you are? And even though you may not get as many looks or followers or clicks, are you abiding by that, or are you falling into the clickbait mentality?
And those entities, I think, are out there regardless. And they always will be.
And they're the huge ones. They're the ones that do, all the viral crap.
Yes. Which is specifically why I do not follow, or I will unfollow, because emotionally or instinctively, maybe I did in the first place.
Yeah.
Like all these chicks with guns things. Like, there are very few that I follow.
Yeah.
And
Maddie would be one that you would want to follow, because Maddie is legit. But there are, I know what you're saying, there are the gun bunnies that are on there with their, showing their boobs and their butt, and, that's...
Yeah, and, I'm a man just like anybody else, and I appreciate tits.
I'll watch it.
Like anybody.
I'm going to watch it.
Absolutely. But
I may not share it, but I'll watch it.
Right, but it also, too, like, on the principle of the matter, it does offend me a little bit. Like, I take a little bit of that, like, I get a little defensive about that, because there are guys like Tyler and I who are out here whose focus is absolutely not to make money. Like, we're not trying to retire off this gig. Like, we're motivated by a different purpose. Mm-hmm. And yet, like you said, the hundreds of thousands of followers that want to see some chick who is scantily clothed holding a gun that was current, that was relevant fucking 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, come on. Like, what?
You know what? I think this is a great jackwagon segment right here. I think this fits the bill for our jackwagon train. So let's let Gunny bring that train in.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead jackwagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
He is a brother gunnery sergeant. Cheers.
Cheers to the Gunny.
Cheers to the Gunny.
Great memories.
But, there's like, just to kind of continue a little bit, because I don't want to get embroiled in this particular conversation, but
well, we're going to, because we're talking jackwagons now. So
there are plenty of competent, proficient, professional female officers out there, and quite honestly, I think they are like a positive attribute or a positive benefit to a tactical team.
I want to add something.
Yeah, go ahead.
About that, right? We're talking this Instagram thing and this look and this deal. We know people out of Arizona, and I don't want to mention names. I ain't throwing anybody under the bus that's in a bad light, just because that's just my opinion. But I am going to mention somebody in a positive light. Take people like Regina Milkovich, right? That woman is a phenomenal friend of ours, knows her weapon system inside and out, but doesn't flaunt it, right? She's
not familiar with her. What's she do? Who is she?
For the gram. She's the top PRS shooter, female PR shooter in the United States.
Oh, okay.
And she outshoots her husband, who competes against her.
Who's a sniper for an agency here in the Valley.
And her name's Milkovich?
Yeah, Regina.
Regina Milkovich. Okay, I'll look her up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, phenomenal lady. But, like, she'll post pics, but it's not like, hey, look at me and I'm this or I'm that, She walks the walk, talks the talk, and she's super humble. She probably knows more about a gun than I do. And, anytime you talk, she flat sets back and listens to every word that you have to say. And I try and do the same thing with her. She's absolutely phenomenal. But then we talk about these gun bunnies that we're looking at, and me and Jeff probably know exactly who we're talking about. They look really good, but have no clue what's in their hand. They're making money off an industry that they don't even know what it is, how it does, how it works, what it's for.
Yeah, and I think those people are obvious. I think we know who they are. They stand out. We know exactly who they are, what their purpose is. Even though it does bring attention to the firearms industry, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's personal opinion, I guess. But
and to an extent, it boils down to respect.
It does, yeah.
Respect for the profession, respect for themselves, respect for me and Tyler and you. Like, I don't have an issue if someone's selling their look because it's lucrative and it's a good marketing tool. Like, okay, whatever. But at the same time,
but there are plenty that have that look, and the look may get them more than normal, but at the same time, they use the look to, like you said, push and promote the real firearms industry, the knowledge, the safety, all that goes behind it, the respect. They respect it.
Yeah.
But they're using the tools that God gave them to do it, but they're doing it in a good way. So enough about that. Sure. You're right. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So those kind of people are on our jackwagon train. We got it. So what about other jackwagons? Anybody else you want to throw on the jackwagon train? Anybody else that's just kind of just making your skin
I'll go ahead
crawl?
and start this one. What I have a real problem with, and this is no mystery, and it's been one of the things that's stuck in my craw for a while. It's so let me just preface this by saying I have all the respect in the world for our military brothers that have gone overseas and done that job. I was one of them to an extent. Like, I'm not going to promote myself like I was some freaking Chris Kyle or Nathan Place dude, because I wasn't. And I would never take anything away from those guys. But at the same time, for the last 15, 20 years, for as long as we've been in freaking combat as a nation, the training market has been super saturated with dudes that come back from combat and want to get into this training genre, I guess, and really kind of promote push the skills that they've learned and the things that they've learned. And that's absolutely relevant to everything. And that is fine. And I dig the shit out of that. But what I have a problem with is the assumption that what worked overseas works here. 100%. Like if I'm that guy, what I'm saying is unquestionable. So don't try to push back. Take what I say and do what I say. And if you don't, then you're a fucking idiot. And I say this out of personal experience because I've experienced those dudes, and Tyler has too. I've experienced those guys that God bless them for what they did overseas, but you cannot have the ego and the arrogance to think that you understand everything about everything based on that experience.
Yeah, it doesn't equate to this environment. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a different experience here because we're not shooting combatants. We're not shooting dudes that are trying to kill us, like, no matter what. Okay, well, maybe that's not entirely accurate because those criminals are out there in our society.
Yeah.
But they're still American citizens, and we still have to consider that factor in every decision that we make as policemen because we're American fucking policemen. We're not at war with our own society.
Or are we?
Well, and to add to that though, like what you're talking about and where I see it, I wasn't a sniper in the military, man. I was nothing, right? I mean, I just did my stuff, whatever, moved on. But so I see it from a different world. When you're overseas, man, everybody's a combatant, right? And you don't have that ability here. You have to have 100% facial recognition. I'm with Jeff, man. I respect the holy shit out of all those dudes over there doing what they do. That's a hard job. It ain't easy. Yeah. But you can't come here trying to explain to us that you just shoot people down range, because that's not our job. Our job here as a police sniper is something completely different. But you get these guys coming home trying to shove it down the throat to sell not only their ideology, but their equipment and ways that they've been taught. It doesn't come across. And when people try and explain that to them, they get the arrogant attitude of, well, I was overseas and in the box and I've shot people. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you were over there, and I'm glad that you
teach people to do that.
Right. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Stay in your realm then if you're not willing to adapt and do what we do. And to do so, you need to insert yourself into that world and understand what it is. Yeah. And when they don't, that causes us problems in our environment, because we've got to go back and dispel all that bullshit that they're shoving down these kids' throats that look up to them. I do too. I'm not going to tell you I don't. But it doesn't equate to what a law enforcement sniper does or needs.
Right. I agree with that. And we're going to talk more about that when we get into talking about what it is that you guys do. So I've got a listener-nominated jack wagon here. This comes from FPS Murdoch. And FPS says, I nominate James Carville, a Democratic strategist. He recently cursed out unvaccinated individuals on his podcast last week, saying anyone without a vaccine was a piece of shit, and he wanted to punch them in the face. What
he's
a
the dude
jackwagon.
that dresses like with a bow tie and all that shit, right?
I don't. He's a bald head, little looks like guy, he's got. He's on chemo or something. I don't know, little dude.
I mean, if he needs to punch somebody in the face, I'd let him hit me. I don't think he probably hits that hard.
It'll probably break his wrist.
Yeah, he'd break his hand. Yeah, that dude would break his hand.
I mean, problem solved, really, right?
Yeah. So I think that's. I haven't seen this or heard about it. So, but I can see this guy.
If you're in that position and you're vaccinated, why do what I do bother you? Right? You're vaccinated. Do you?
Because vaccinations don't work. Because people still get it and they still transmit it, even though they're vaccinated. So
yeah,
right. You get the flu shot. You still get the flu. It ain't no different.
Yeah. These people
I
are
can
idiots.
tell personal stories about that too, like in my own household. But anyway.
Yeah.
No, it just kills me. Everybody's got to have a hand in what you do anymore, instead of, hey man, just mind your business and let's move on and be us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Tyler? You got any specific jack wagons?
Who were we talking about beforehand when we were warming up for this?
Who weren't we talking about?
God dang it. I should have wrote that down because it was an absolute friggin' phenomenal person. Then we got off into the weeds, and now I'm struggling to remember who we were talking about.
Well, we were talking about Canada and the truck drivers and the situation that's going on up there in Canada.
That's right, and about how it was a coup if we did it here. And what they call it in Canada already?
They're already calling it insurrection.
Insurrection, yeah. And we talked about it here, about how, God forbid you question anything that's done here, and everything's an insurrection. That's where we went, because the other side did it and burnt the city down and shot people. It's a peaceful protest.
Robbed and stole, yeah.
Right, we parked a truck in the middle of the city, then it's an insurrection.
Can't honk their horns. They've passed a law now that for the next 10 days, the truck drivers cannot honk their horns, or they will get arrested or cited. No one can supply them with gas or food or anything. So if you,
and who came up with the 10-day thing? Is that like
Trudeau? I guess
for the worst to pass in 10 days, so they figure in 10 days you'll forget. And
little Napoleon Trudeau, I guess, did that. But if you're caught giving them fuel or any supplies, they're going to arrest you also.
He must be banging Nancy Pelosi.
I think it's his mom.
That kind of hurts my heart a little bit even to think about that. I don't necessarily think we should talk about that much more.
Even though it's his mom, he's probably still banging her, yeah.
That sucks. I just hope
I
just hope British Columbia stays like livable for the next, call it 18 months, because I'm going to Whistler to ski next February. So, God damn it!
Like we don't know how Canadians get. You know, it's like they run into each other and then they yell at each other for a minute and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, eh," and then they move on, right?
Great White North, eh?
Hey,
Yeah, there you go.
You got some beers?
You hose head.
You hoser. What was that Saturday Night Live, guys?
Well, Strange Brew. You remember
Strange
the movie
Brew, the two brothers, yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that thing's freaking hilarious. Like, I'm not a big Canada guy. Like, I don't think I know a Canadian, Rob Furlong, and but he's like a complete different breed, right? But so you say Canada, man, and for some reason Strange Brew comes up, and I think everybody's that way, and I don't know why.
Speaking of Canadians, Alec Baldwin.
Jesus Christ. I think we're staying on the hate train.
Yep. Yeah.
So as everybody knows, I've been keeping up with this murder that he did on the set of Rust, this Western that he was filming. And they've been trying to get his phone for evidence for the past, I don't know, couple of months, whatever. Probably since the beginning, but he's been cooperating. He finally turned it over, I do believe, these months later. So he's had time to go through and delete and whatever. But he has turned that over. I'm reading right here updates as it happens. 1 hour ago, Alec Baldwin's car stolen upon landing in the UK. A car sent to pick up Alec Baldwin from a UK airport was reportedly stolen before he could even get it, the actor has revealed. The 30 Rock actor told fans in a video clip that he wants to keep a little diary during his work travels. Who gives a shit? Fuck him.
Yeah. His car was probably like the same thing as his single-action revolver. It probably malfunctioned and drove off by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he didn't pull the trigger. He didn't pull the trigger.
And I could totally see how a single-action revolver just...
Well, you pull the hammer back and you release the hammer, it's the same thing.
Right, but it malfunctioned because your finger was on the trigger. It's weird.
Yeah.
I've been around a whole lot of guns. I got a whole bunch sitting around me right now, and none of them have malfunctioned. You know what I mean? It's the whole bullshit. It's the whole thing of let's sell the agenda and not the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's another story on Alec Baldwin. The 63-year-old actor is filming the independent thriller 97 Minutes on location in Hampshire in the UK, where he has been photographed having dinner with some journalist. So he's already back to work. He's working now. He's on another movie.
And you know what's complete and utter bullshit about this is this is the epitome of the jackwagon, right? I mean, the guy despises firearms, but he's outspoken, despises the industry that we live and die by.
They're all hypocrites.
But yet has zero problem making millions of dollars using them.
Oh, absolutely. They're all hypocrites. Every one of them.
For sure. Yeah, and that's it. That really just chaps your ass when you really think about it. Like, you know what I mean? If I don't like something, I'm sorry, you ain't paying me enough to promote it.
Yeah. So he hosted this game show called The Match Game. I don't know if you remember the old Match Game.
Mm-hmm.
Gene Rayburn, and they would have like six celebrities, and they'd have two contestants, and he would read a question, and they would have to like fill in the blank. And then the contestants would have to match the celebrities with what they said, and they got points for that. So it'd be like, question like, John was so fat, he ate a hoagie sandwich, and his wife told him to blank. Something like that, and they'd fill in the blank. Anyway, he hosted like a modern version of that. There is an episode that's called Shooting Blanks. I think it's season 5. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Oh my God. That's the most epic thing right there. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
You can't even make this stuff up.
No, you can't. You can't. Here it is right here. IMDb. I'll share my screen. You got to see this. Hopefully I can play the video, but it's just like foreshadowing.
It's like The Simpsons for Alec Baldwin.
I think he was on those Simpsons. So here it is.
Somebody there?
It's called Shooting Blanks. And you see here's a little picture of it. So he's dressed as a convict. God, I wish I had a video of this. I think there's only two pictures of it here. But if you go to that video, I'll find it before the show's over. You play. He comes out. He's in this prison, the striped prison uniform, and he's laying on a chalk outline. and they zoom in on that, and then he gets up, and then he says something, blah blah blah, and he goes, "The epitome of my career," right? He said it's hilarious. You gotta watch, and I can't believe I've not posted it on social media yet. I need to do that because I've got it on my phone. I've recorded it. It's hilarious.
I'm surprised that Zuckerberg hasn't sucked it off the internet yet.
Well, I'm surprised there's still. You can go to, I think it's Hulu, and you can go to Hulu.
Find it there.
Hulu, and they're playing the match game, and it's season 5, episode 2. Is the one you can go and you can watch that, and it's just like, wow, it's just too freaky. Anyway,
unreal.
Continuing my jackwagon, Alec Baldwin is still on the jackwagon train. I'm going to keep bringing him up until justice is served with him, until he admits that he actually did something wrong, because he keeps denying that he did anything wrong. He wasn't his fault. No part not. At all was his fault. Now, there are other people to blame, but yeah, he's got his part.
We in Phoenix here, it gets hellishly hot, right? It gets upwards of 110 degrees on a regular basis, and it's not unusual for us to get over 115. And I remember there was a time when and I don't know what the circumstances were, like politically or like within the city, but somebody once made the statement, it's not the heat, it's the hypocrisy. Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that statement has been like carved in stone for years because it was so appropriate and it's so applicable to everything that happens like politically here within the city of Phoenix and the Phoenix Valley and whatever else. And the hypocrisy is it's overwhelming. It's enough to drive a man crazy. And I'll be honest, like getting a little personal here. I'll be honest, like these last 18, 24 months have been very difficult for me psychologically and emotionally, because I'm in my 34th year in this profession. And to see society like decompose into what it did in 2020.
Yeah. I think it's hit a lot of people that way. It made me
ask some very deep questions, like internally, of what I've been doing for the last 30 fucking years. Well,
I think if people didn't look back and in retrospect ask that same question to themselves, as an American, as a patriot, then they're not really, a true patriot.
Yeah.
I think it's bothered, obviously, the majority, all of our listeners. I'm sure the leadheads. We're preaching to the choir here, but it has had a profound effect on a lot of us, and the way that we have handled it and continue to go through and handle it is really going to speak volumes as to if it continues from here. And we've got that election cycle, and that's where we speak our minds. It's all in the voting. You got to get out there and vote. And you saw what happens when you don't. Or was it rigged? They got us so chasing each other's ass right now. It's like, was it rigged? Was it not rigged? Was it legit?
At this
point in time, I just don't think it can happen without, people fudging with it. Fucking.
No, I don't either.
So I think there's got to be some sort of.
It's not about the people; it's about them.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm foolish
from
for
both
thinking
sides,
this, but like it's
absolutely.
I have more faith in like the American people than what the outcome of the election was. And honestly, like maybe I was just being an idealist or not recognizing the power of something, and it takes me considerable effort just to make that statement alone. But you know, I hesitate to identify myself as like a conspiracy theorist because of the negative connotation that kind of carries with it. But at the same time, like I cannot believe at all that the American people as a whole found the year 2020 acceptable to live by and wound up voting for someone that, like, I mean, for all intents and purposes, supported the entire thing. And I don't know. This has caused me considerable anxiety and stress and some deep thought and a lot of questions that I don't even have the ability to answer. And this is getting a little bit deep here, but
sure.
But I don't know. I cannot come up with a logical explanation for it. And to me, a logical explanation is required for me to accept an outcome. And so I don't get it. I don't believe it. I can't believe it. And I can't bring myself to say,
oh, there it is,
that this is acceptable. Now, on the other side of that same coin, like Joe Biden is my president because I'm an American fucking citizen and I'm not like irrational and motivated by something, an agenda that is entirely emotionally based. Joe Biden is my president because I'm an American citizen. And I went to war under a leadership that other people disagreed with. It was just fortunate for me that I agreed with it. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm fucking frustrated.
And I think that's the point that you were making. And a lot of people are very frustrated, and it's hard for us to vocalize it. You know, it's hard to put it in words because it's something that you can't imagine. You know, it's like this is reality, but it's like a movie. You know, it's just something that you would see in a movie, but it's real. It's happening.
Those of us, you know, Tyler and I are included in this group, but those of us that have written a blank check to the United States of America, like up to and including our life, as cliche as that might be right now, it still applies. Like it's still a valid statement. Like I was willing to give my life for this country on more than one occasion, because I believed in the United States of America. I believed in the U.S. Constitution, and I believe in our way of life, our democracy, however you want to define that. I believed in it. I still don't agree with somebody burning an American flag. That makes me fucking insane. But at the same time, if the First Amendment applies to me, then it applies to that guy too. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not going to second guess the Supreme Court. But it means something different for those of us that have said, yeah, I'm willing to die for this country and the reasons why we're here, even if those reasons might be less than honorable, you know, because I think there's a valid argument going back to Desert Storm where we did it for oil. But on the other side of that argument is, and maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself, but right now, like in 2004, I re-enlisted in the Marine Corps and came from off contract, zero obligation to the United States military. I re-enlisted in the Marine Corps and went to war, physically went there to do the job because not because necessarily I believed in like the motivations of some senator that owns stock in whatever fucking company, but because I couldn't sit here in front of a computer screen like I'm doing now and watch my brother Marines get carried off the battlefield and not do anything about it.
Right.
Like I was compelled to do it. I was driven to do it. And so I'm rambling. And
That's
and
okay.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
For that. But it is something.
What
like
about you, Tyler?
When I was in, it was, Jeff said he had somebody that was under, he believed in their program, and they went. When I was deployed, it was under leadership that I didn't believe in. But guess what? I'm with Jeff. I signed my name on the dotted line to say that when the big man in the corner office says you do, you do, whether you like it or not. But if people would really focus on that in life in itself, I think we'd see a huge change in America. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not the way it's going to happen, And I really think that's where Jeff's going in this a lot. I mean, he's going into it a lot deeper because that's my brother Jeff, and he has passion and has understanding of that, right? But when you're out there, it doesn't matter whether you signed your name on the dotted line or you're just doing everyday business. I think that's the fall of America that we're having today, is that people don't realize that, and they want to fight and argue the entire piece instead of just going to work and getting it done.
Yep.
I agree. So I found it. That's why you were talking, is you were stalling until I found this video.
You have the video, a picture of it?
I found the actual video here. I just went ahead and logged into Hulu. It's episode 1. It's season 5, episode 1 of the match game.
More stars.
I don't think you guys are going to be able to hear it on your end, but our audience will be able to hear it here.
I was just dying at the freaking layout of the dude on the ground.
the chalk. So this is Shooting Blank, season 5. Is this the complete episode? I don't think this is the complete episode. They may have already pulled it.
Stars. More stars.
Well, Tony, that's what you get for watching every friggin' cop show. Well, it's ironic because my last Pride Instagram photo was...
Showing
Thanks for that.
Adam getting his, like the subtitles.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to hear it on your end.
That's okay.
But there it is. For some reason, it's not playing the beginning of it, and they probably cut that out. Somebody probably called in. They figured it out because the whole thing, except for
The suspects: Mario Cantone, Jennifer Esposito, Adam Rodriguez, Angie Harmon.
They whitewashed the whole thing.
we're just going to watch the intro here. Michael Chiklis is in this episode. Famous TV police.
I can see the subtitles, and I'm getting little bits and pieces of audio on it.
So here it is.
Yeah.
Look. He's on the chalk outline.
I'm earning every dime this season, folks. I'm earning every dime. And that right there is the chalk outline of my career.
Chalk outline of my career.
Tonight we've got a panel of celebrities.
And that right there is the chalk outline of my career.
Yep.
All that time. Thank you for your patience and letting me find that. So, I think it's well worth the wait. I need to post that on Instagram. I'll probably get banned if I do that, though. What do you think?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth a try.
It's worth a try, right? I've never been banned before. Might as well go ahead and get my first ban in. So let's counter this real quick with a hero, and of course the truckers in Canada are my nomination for heroes, and we talked about them. And we've got FPS Murdoch again. We're going to go with him. He's got a hero, and his hero is, let's see, FPS Murdoch. I'd like to nominate James Yeager of Tactical Response. He's been teaching good people to kill bad people for over 25 years now. He's a genuine dude, and I'm damn proud to call him a friend. So there you go, James Yeager. Are you guys familiar with James?
No. Who's he from? Who'd he serve? Like, what's
so
his
James
background?
is.
I've heard.
he's a controversial personality in the firearms industry, I guess you could say. Generally, he's a good dude, though. I know him personally. He's a friend of mine. He's been on the show.
And he's from Tactical Response?
Tactical Response is his company.
Okay.
It's the name of his company. And he, I guess a month ago or so, and we've noticed it, over the last year or so, but his speech had gotten a little different. And he put out a video, I guess, last month stating that he may have ALS, which he probably does. Hopefully not, but he is getting diagnosed and all that stuff. But a numb tongue is part of that, and it affects your speech and loss of strength and all that. But absolutely, I'll second that 100%. FPS James Yeager, Lead Head Brigade hero. He deserves a ride on Lead Force One. So good nomination there.
What's his background? Where did he come from?
So he's a LE background, and then he did some contracting overseas.
Okay.
As well. There's a controversy over incidents that happened overseas that he was involved in, and so I mean, you either like him or you hate him. It's kind of one of those. There's no in between with James.
Well, Tyler, you and I are going to get killed over the fact that we're not like familiar with James Yeager. I know the name. I've heard the name. I've seen the name for a decade or more.
Yeah.
And I know the guy is well respected in some circles and not so much in others. And whatever, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's like you're saying though, there are people that either agree with you or they don't agree with you. And
but I mean, I'll give the man the benefit of my doubt. I haven't taken any of his classes. I know he's been around for quite a while because I remember seeing the man's name over 15 years ago. And I know he's done a lot and he's helped some people. So I'll give the man the benefit of the doubt, and I have zero reason to question anything about him because I
think you guys would get along great.
That's a good part of me and Jeff. There's hardly anybody that we don't, but I'm definitely going to go and look up and take a bird's eye view.
He
of the program,
personally probably won't be training for much longer. So
well, that's rough because I have a family member once removed. I'm not even actually sure what that term means, but I'm going to say it anyways. Who suffered for years with that affliction and wound up passing away, and I know that ain't easy. And that's I've seen the effects on the people around him that love him. That
it's a horrible disease, definitely.
That has Well,
it sucks because the person's still inside. They just can't get out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We've had it. I think everybody's had some contact with it, but you look at them and you know damn well that they know exactly what's going on, and it's frustrating as shit for them because they can't get it out. Yeah. Super brutal. So absolutely, no. Let's definitely want to do some learning, and we'll damn sure throw it to him for sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
So to add to that from a personal side, I like my heroes. My Leadhead Brigade candidate is going to be like the policemen that I know personally and actually work with daily, that are like unsung heroes. Like these guys, the depth of their knowledge is bottomless, and it is unreal.
You're getting a second on the motion.
Shut your mouth over there. That's my side chick. Yeah.
She just seconded your motion.
Yeah. The depth of knowledge that exists in everyday guys that you would just take for granted is enormous, and these guys don't ever get enough recognition. So I'm going to recognize guys like Chris Palmer from 532 Insight and Dave Mason from MDT Tactical Creations. Did I just mistake that?
Mod Tech.
Jesus God.
She was corrected.
Dave would be more than happy if you just give him another job to do because he doesn't have.
Dave, I love you to death, and I'm sorry that I just misstated your entire fucking deal. But
Dave, remember I helped you out and pushed you through.
Dave Mason from ModTech, like these guys, these are dudes that like Dave is not he is not like a law enforcement officer. He has no experience in that, but he is a goddamn special forces soldier and an SF sniper who has decided and found value in immersing himself in the law enforcement side of things. And that goes absolutely 100% to his level of humility, his level of maturity, and his like open arms brotherly love for everybody who's in combat arms to one extent or another. So it's guys like that I want to recognize and that I look up to as my heroes, because they're doing what they're supposed to do. Like they're recognizing different perspectives and different facets of their own career and realizing that there's another side to this that they don't completely understand.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
those guys are putting out, man.
Well, I want to give some backstory to this though, because there's more to it than just that. And I got some other people I want to add at some point in time, and if we get to it, we'll get there. But I want to take Dave, for instance. Him and Jeff met at NTOA, hit it off, fantastic, just great dude. I wasn't able to go for some stuff. Jeff comes home, he's like, "Hey man, I met this guy. He wants to come and learn from us." And I'm like, "Well, who is this guy?" He's like, "Oh, he's a special forces sniper, friggin' been in there, done it, this and that." I'm like, "What?" Like, I appreciate it, but what do you like? Where are we going with this, right? And so he literally came down from Colorado to Arizona, drove like 15 hours in this little bitty car with like 7,000 pounds of kit to show up out in the middle of the desert with us. This course that we runs out in the middle of the desert. Did it all on his own dime. We offered him to come down here because he wanted to dumb himself down out of the military world and start from the basics and work his way back up through the ranks to be able to help his law enforcement community that he lives in.
But it's like you said earlier too, he had enough self-awareness to know that what he did over there didn't translate to what happens here.
Yes. And it's funny that we had our jackwagon train the complete opposite of what our hero is. And it wasn't like, we didn't just sit down and be like, "Yep, let's pick both sides." I think it just worked that way. Yeah. But, we've got a couple buddies that are that way. Dave's one of them. Another guy, a good buddy of ours out of the Marine Corps, was Marine Scout sniper. Same thing. He's looking to transition out, wanting to give back to his community. Same thing. He came out to us and spent his own time and his own money to get an understanding of the different world. And that's Gerald Huey from the Marine Corps. Fantastic instructor. Like when he speaks, the world just shuts down. Everybody shuts up and listens, and phenomenal guy. But once again, he's humble enough to understand they're not the same thing. And he doesn't do it to be like, "Look at me." He does it to make other people's better. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Dave.
Very good. Very good. I like those nominations.
Say other people's better.
Did I? We might have to play that back. Can you delete that if I did? Maybe? I don't.
I'm going to let it play. I'm letting it play, baby. So,
here's to other people's being better.
There you go. Other better peoples.
Oh, my God.
Can you use demons?
Yuns. We say yuns in East Tennessee.
That's like Ewans.
Ewans and yuns, yeah.
Hey, I'm a big corn-fed son, bitch. I make up words. It's fine.
That's all right. Yep.
So there you go. Let's wrap up the Jackwagon Train and the Lead Force One. Great segment there, guys. Appreciate you playing with us, having fun. Enjoyed it. If you lead heads have nominations, email those to me, talkinglead@gmail.com. Put in the subject Leadhead Brigade Hero or Jackwagon or both, if you're sending both in one email. We love getting those. We'll read them on the air. If I can, we'll try. I don't always get to them, but if I can, I will. But we want to find out more about Standing Offhand, about what it is that you guys are specifically doing, the training that you're offering, and how you go about doing that. And we kind of talked about the reasons why you wanted to get involved with this. So, Jeff, talk about how you originally got started with the the Standing Offhand, and I guess the other one, the Dead Drift, was first.
Yeah.
The Dead Drift Consulting.
So yeah, Dead Drift Consulting was created because, I mean, if I'm perfectly honest, I wanted to transition out of the police specific, military specific, tactical realm and kind of highlight or emphasize other things in our lives that we are all as policemen working towards in order to enjoy once we retire, right? Mm-hmm. So Dead Drift Consulting is really very much focused on, things like backpack hunting, bow hunting, and fly fishing. And then because it's a sort of a subject of my expertise, long range shooting as it applies to civilians in the hunting community.
Sounds more like a survivalist kind of deal.
You know, I don't want to be lumped into the survivalist group because I'm not burying 60 tons of fucking wheat in my backyard.
But you're living off the land. You're fishing. You're hunting.
Yes. Yes, but I mean to address that, like currently
worthwhile skills to have, definitely.
Absolutely, but currently we're not in a nuclear winter kind of an underworld for kind of society. It is still something that is recreational and something that we all do to one extent or another.
But we're closer to it than you realize. I mean, look at Canada and their truckers. They've shut down their whole economy, and they could do that here as well. And you don't get trucks delivering stuff. You don't get to go to the grocery store and buy your tomatoes and your beef and your hot dogs and.
Right. Costco is completely sold out of toilet paper. Yeah. And I recognize that condition does exist.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dead Drift Consulting was created in order to kind of open a channel for me to be able to share what it is that I do personally that refills my soul, that gives me a reset on life, that allows me to enjoy the things that I enjoy doing and what I plan to do, like post-retirement, because I think there's a vacuum within the police community where dudes are so focused on what it takes to be successful and get to the top of their game within their profession that they sacrifice everything else that they've ever thought of in their entire life. And I say this out of personal experience because I've done this for 20 fucking years. Like, I've been a policeman for 34-ish, 33. And I've lived through the sacrifice. When I look back on my life, I look at what I asked my wife and my children to accept. Well, I didn't even ask them. I demanded that they accept that, right? Because my goals were at the very front of my brain, and that's really kind of all that mattered. And for me, there's regret that's in that equation. Sure. Like I can't say that it was all worth it. Now, where I'm sitting today and what I'm doing with Tyler right now is absolutely rewarding and worthwhile. But at the same time, like my life priorities, like the things that I dreamt of and wanted to do as a 16 or 17-year-old disappeared for 2 decades because I was completely 100% focused on what I was trying to achieve professionally. And while there's value to that, I don't know at 54 years old that it was entirely worth it because I sacrificed a lot of stuff.
But whoever does, you don't know,
Yes,
Until
I agree.
Hindsight's 20/20.
No, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I am able to put these thoughts and put these priorities in the minds of young policemen who are at a point in their career where I was, 15 or 20 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
And make sure that or try to encourage them to work towards a more balanced lifestyle, then I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
And you know, Standing Offhand exists to arm police snipers or policemen as a whole with better skills, better knowledge, higher proficiency, all of those things that matter professionally. It also exists to make sure that these guys are not neglecting all the other parts of their life that will exist far beyond their careers. So,
now, how long have you been doing this?
Sorry.
It's all right. When did you start? When did you start Dead Drift?
So Dead Drift Consulting was incorporated as an LLC. I want to say 6 years ago.
So about 6 years ago.
About 6 years ago. And there was always kind of a component to Dead Drift Consulting where I thought, well, I'm going to offer training or consulting services or whatever was necessary to my police community, to the military community. But absolutely, those guys are, and I say this cautiously, those guys are secondary on the roll, or in the list, because I think policemen have been a neglected entity within our society for a while with regard to this specifically. So my focus is on policemen more than anything else. But the company was formed in order to try to make an attempt to share the passions that I have that have brought me peace with policemen specifically.
Is that with the archery, with the fly fishing and hunting?
Yes, to all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It depends on the group and who is interested. But this past May, I hosted a fly fishing trip to Lee's Ferry, which is a tailwater that comes out of Lake Powell on the Colorado River. It's a fly. Well, it's not a fly fishing only, but it's a catch and release only fishery here in Arizona. And you can't replicate that environment. I want to say anywhere else in the world, but I would be arrogant if I said that because I don't know if it exists anywhere else in the world.
Sure.
But where else can you fish?
But you know where it does exist is right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And where else can you go where you can stand on a boat and be surrounded by literally 1,000-foot cliffs that end in the water, where there's no other access to it except by boat. Where I don't know.
Alaska.
I don't know where that exists. Maybe Alaska, maybe in Greenland or Norway. Whatever. Regardless, it's accessible to U.S. law enforcement, and I can do that at a discounted rate because I'm friends with and have shaken hands with guys that guide on Lee's Ferry. So, and they are behind this kind of a thing also.
Yeah.
So they are fully supportive of it. So I hosted a trip for a bunch of policemen in May of 2021, and we went up there with my hope being that it would be a kind of a life-changing. Well, that's a little bit too much. I don't want to say life-changing event, but I want to say
life pondering. Maybe make them ponder a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a gut check for where they are in their lives, in their careers, and what is important, and what are you getting out of this that you can't get out of anything else. And it was very successful. Standing Offhand became the offshoot or the leg of that. And this is why we kind of focus on not necessarily how tight of a group can you shoot at 100 yards, but also what are you doing to complete the picture? Because a sniper is not a sniper, military or police, is not a dude that can shoot the tightest group. It's the dude that can combine acceptable accuracy with fieldcraft, communications, the ability to work with a team, and I don't know whatever else encompasses like the sniper as a whole. Like marksmanship doesn't make a sniper, because I can teach marksmanship to anybody out there. I can't teach creativity. I can't teach maturity and humility. I can't teach the ability to say no. I can't make that shot. I can't teach those things. Those are innate characteristics that apply to each individual.
But you offer them the opportunity to find that out for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And that's
Standing Offhand.
Yes, and that is the foundation of Standing Offhand.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like how do you shoot the tightest groups or make the best win calls. We all know that those are variable things that change literally second to second.
Yeah.
It's more about who you are as a person as a whole, and what you bring to the table as a package, rather than just like the biathlete that can go to fucking Beijing. Why China is hosting the Olympics, I have no idea.
They don't even have snow.
No shit, right? It looks like a fucking canyon. Oh my god!
It looks like nuclear winter.
Yes. It looks like a canyon in southern Arizona that they just filled with snow. Whatever. Anyways, it's more about the it's more about the person than it is about like that one singular individual skill, because you cannot, like, there's no way that anybody, military or police, can make an evaluation on who is a sniper and who is not based on one singular.
Yeah. So with your class, they're bringing their own weapons, their own kit, their own gear, their own ammo, stuff that they use day in and day out, and you're teaching them on their own equipment. You're not saying, hey, you need to bring a certain rifle, a certain ammo, a certain whatever.
No, absolutely not, because that's completely unrealistic, and it doesn't dovetail into what they're dealing with on a daily basis.
Yeah. Like, so you're teaching them how to be better shooters with their existing equipment.
Yes.
Or maybe that's where they decide that this isn't the equipment that I need. I need something different.
Absolutely. Those are hard-won lessons that we push in every course that we do. There are absolutely better solutions to a problem, but if that's not what you have, and if that's not what your department is willing to provide for you, then you have to be able to maximize the equipment that you do have.
Now, you said that you gave some examples of people that have attended your class in the past, and they did it on their own time, their own dime. Do you get departments that will send people there and fund it themselves for your course?
And unfortunately for the sniper, regardless of whether you're military or law enforcement, like one of the banes of being in that sniper position is, hey, you're going to have to spend your own fucking money, and you're going to have to use your own time. You're going to, there is a sacrifice that you personally are going to have to make. And if you come into this position thinking that everything is going to be provided for you, then you're in the wrong fucking position.
Yeah.
That's been a reality for snipers for a long time. And, at the risk of sounding cliche, like snipers have been the redheaded stepchild of every tactical team and every military, infantry company for
dumping ground,
God knows how long. And it's expected, the expectations of you are that you're going to perform the job that they define rather than the job that is actual reality. And so that requires that you spend your own time and your own money, and you put in your own effort, because they're not going to treat you as if you are at the top of the list, just like the point guy is on a stick for PD, or the point guy is in.
So I got a question.
Yes.
And we'll get to listener questions in a minute, and this may be one of them. But if somebody is looking to fill that position, I want to be a sniper on a SWAT team or a police department or whatever it is. How do they go about doing that, and what characteristics or qualities do they need to possess to take on that position?
So, go ahead, Tyler.
I want somebody that wants to come in and know every job on the team. I don't want somebody that comes in and goes, all I want to do is be a sniper, because they're already looking in a bad position. For me to do my job on my team, I have to know what my team leader's doing. I need to know what my breacher's doing. I need to know what my point guy is doing. And without knowing that, I can't do my job. My job is based off of the rest of my team's job. The rest of my team's job is based off of me. They rely on my information given it to them. To kind of take a step back to answer part of this question is we've been the dumping ground for far too long. How do you take a guy that is going to give the best intel that he possibly can to the team leader when you're on Overwatch on a barricaded or on a high-risk search warrant, say on a compound, and you're deployed by yourself for 2 hours, but you don't even know what your team tactics are? So in my opinion, I want somebody that's going to be humble enough to step on the team and start at the bottom and work their way to the top. Now, by no means am I saying that the sniper's the top of the team, but they're a very crucial piece. But to do that crucial piece, you have to have an understanding of everybody else's job and an intimate understanding of their job to do this side.
Yes.
When the point guy gets tired, another guy steps up and becomes point. When I get tired, they tell me suck it up, and we'll be done when we get done. So we don't have somebody to come back on. So I have to understand everybody's position through the entire process. And it's not about shooting. I could really give two shits if you've ever shot a bolt gun before. I could give two shits if you're a decent shooter. I want you to be a on your feet thinker and a worker and a team player more than any. To be a sniper, you have to be the largest team player on the field, but you also have to be the person that's self-motivated to keep yourself in the game because you don't have anybody else standing there to help you out.
Yep.
What does it take as far as duty-wise? What are the duties of a sniper? What as a sniper, what can I expect to be doing on the team?
And each agency is a little different. I can let Jeff talk about his agency. Phoenix PD sniping unit is much different than what mine is. Mm-hmm. I've done blackout operations and moved into a 40-acre compound and had to do night vision ops for 1.5 miles land nav with helicopter overhead and full night vision and land nav for 1.5 miles to get into places. Sneak in, gain intel. I will tell you what it's not. 99% of it is intel. Less than 1% is shooting. But to put it into terms of what is it, what do we do, varies so greatly by agency-specific needs. I've been deployed at 400 or 500 yards out, and that's literally as close as I can get. Phoenix PD to deploy at 500 yards would be an exorbitant amount of space, right? So it's a very agency-specific job set, and it changes. I live in a very rural area, and it's very easy for us to get into positions that are, a compound that's out in the middle by itself. So the abilities for us to do things vary so greatly.
Yeah, and I would say that for the typical police sniper, you can expect to be doing a ton of observation, a lot of reporting and communication.
Eyes for your team.
Even the most trivial thing that you might think is unimportant could have a massive impact on the decisions that are being made, because ultimately, like Tyler said, the shooting part of it is very minimal, because rarely do we have instances or incidents where we're actually firing a live round at somebody. Our biggest value is in the fact that we are able to get into a position that other people aren't, and we have the tools in order to observe and report things that other people can't. So the trivial details of whatever it is that I'm observing, or Tyler or any police sniper is observing, may have, I can't say definitively can have, but may have an impact on the decisions that are being made by the leadership that is directing the entire team. So our biggest value is in the fact that, or it is with our capability to get into a position that is unseen, able to report information that nobody else can see, and have the ability to act on that information if we need to, like right now, with surgical precision. So while the marksmanship, and this is why I seek out people specifically who have character traits that are beyond or additional to their ability to operate a rifle like accurately. Their ability to recognize a fact or an observation that means nothing to them but may mean something to somebody else, is crucial. And their ability to be creative and retain their own personality as opposed to becoming a robot who needs to be told what to do. Those things are like paramount to anything else that I can think of.
And are those things that you teach?
So
in your course?
Yes, those are teachable. Those are teachable subjects or teachable characteristics. Like we can teach somebody to say, do you see the hinges on that door? Do you understand what it means that it's a pull or a push door? So it's opening out or it's opening in. Do you understand why that's important? Are you aware of, or do you recognize that a light coming on, a shadow crossing a window, like the position of those like Venetian blinds, like the one behind me, right? Mm-hmm. The position of those blinds. Do you understand how that can affect the outcome of this entire incident? Because if you don't, then we need to work. If you do, then good. Those are details that are important to us, and those are details that are important to like the team, the incident commander, who is making decisions based on what you're telling him, because he can't see that shit, right? Like if these Venetian blinds behind me are open, then that makes a difference between as to whether or not like the assaulters can cross that window safely, right?
Or how they need to cross it,
or how they need to cross it, absolutely. Or if hinges on a door or a push or a pull, does that make a difference to your breaching team? Well, absolutely, it fucking does.
Yeah.
Yes. And the only way you know that is through either training, whether it's lecture like we're doing now, or it's physically doing it, or by being in that position and having to deal with that circumstance personally yourself. And this is why working your way up through the ranks in order to get to that sniper position, that's why that's so valuable, because you've dealt with that. Like, do I need a freaking ram or do I need a Halligan tool? Do I need a cutting?
The importance of it.
Do I need a saw? Do we need to explosively breach this door? Like knowing those things as a sniper become of the utmost importance, because you now, the sniper, I am able to recognize what matters and what doesn't.
The more details they can recognize and relay back,
yes,
the better success.
And yes, for my sergeant, lieutenant, commander, whomever happens to be running that incident, like how valuable is that information? Well, it's like night and day, because if you got to send an explosive breaching team up, that is vastly different than sending a dude up with a ram or a Halligan, or both, right? Like, yes, that is completely. It changes the dynamic of the entire incident.
Changes manpower issues. It changes.
Yes,
it changes everything.
Yeah.
And manpower is huge, right?
So on top
just
of
off of our decision.
Yeah, so you're training not just the actual rifle time, trigger time, shooting time. That's you guys are you're teaching this as well.
Yes.
in your courses.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
And that's a big thing to me and Jeff. Me and Jeff, literally, of course, we're going to teach you to shoot. That's obviously a good portion of that. But we talk consistently through the entire program about these traits and why they're important and what you need to have and why you need to have them. And for you to look inside yourself. We have people come to class every time, and me and Jeff will talk about it and say, you know what? That one right there is forced in this class. He was the guy that got on the team, and they didn't have a spot for him, so he's now our problem, right? But we try and make it apparent to them and say, listen, you either need to figure this out, or maybe this is not the right spot for you.
Yeah. Well,
right. And, more than any other position, I hesitate to use cliches because I feel like cliches are excuses for behavior. But in order to convey what I want to say is like there's a cliche out there that says the job picks the man, not the other way around, right?
Yep.
Now, I don't know. I'm sure there are others, but whatever. We're talking about freaking sniper operations here. The job picks the man. So if you are not cut out for this, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with that individual, right? It means that this is not where your strengths lie.
Sure.
And when we teach these people, or when we interview them, or when we test them for candidacy, like when Phoenix SAU tests for new members for the team, they test for new members for the team, not for a position specifically. So I, as a sniper, if I am involved in the testing process, I'm going to design my test station that they have to stop at, like throughout the entire process, to try to determine who might be like appropriate, or who is somebody that I want to like watch for. Because you can watch these things, and again, like I said before, I'm evaluating the person, not the actual skill set. So if I'm watching somebody make specific decisions or decide that like I'm not going to shoot that person, even though legally I can shoot that person, like why did they do that? What was their thought process? And that gives me some insight into who they are, their personality, their character, their values. That gives me some insight into who that person is, and either adds to or eliminates from my list of people that I want to look at to promote to the position of sniper when it becomes appropriate. So it like the process is pretty fucking deep. Like I had a great time. In my first year on the team when I was CQBing through a house, I was breaching doors, I was negotiating, I was delivering gas, I was doing all these I was performing all these functions of other positions within the team, which unbeknownst to me, my sergeant specifically wanted to see that from me to make sure that I wasn't just, I'm a sniper and I'm nothing else, right? He wanted to know that I was an all-purpose animal because to him, that was the most valuable person to put in, to have on his squad. And fucking A, like that's the kind of thinking that I want to not only work for, but work with.
Yeah. Well, it's like Tyler said earlier, it's the sniper needs to know everybody's position, and for the reasons that you were talking about, and being able to recognize, it's like, hey, when I was doing this bit of intel would have been nice to have had.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
You've got more care and thought into when you're surveilling. They need to know
because
because
you know what it takes in order to set a Halligan tool.
Right.
You know how much time that takes. And the fact that it may not go exactly as planned. And you know that once these guys enter the room, like the point and point cover guys, the first two in the stick, they're going to do this because this is protocol that we do. So knowing that allows me as a sniper to anticipate what they're going to do and be able to cover threat areas that are relevant to what they are doing, not what I am, not from my perspective.
Now, do you train entire teams, or are you just specifically the snipers?
Snipers.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's And when you get into that type of training, it's very difficult to do because team tactics vary so greatly. One team operates this way, with the hall boss, or they've got an entry team and an exit. It's just too deep into the woods, and to understand that is way too deep. And before we get off this, I want to mention one more thing about something that is a big piece to me. Is when I watch for somebody new, I want somebody that's willing to say no, that's willing to step up and go, nope, not doing that. Right? Because that's somebody that's willing to understand that when they're capable of doing something, they'll do it, and when they're not, they'll flat tell you no. No matter if it's a commander or a sergeant, the chief. You don't see what I see, and I'm the one that's writing my name on this bullet or on this intel. So that's a big piece to this as well that I don't think we've hit on to this point of that is somebody that's willing to literally tell you, no, I ain't fucking doing it. You know?
And then that's a maturity component.
It is.
Right? Like it really is, because so much of what we do as policemen in a broad sense, and SWAT officers specifically, like we are all very ego driven. Okay? We're ego driven, we're a little bit arrogant, sometimes a lot bit arrogant.
A lot bit.
But honestly, like to an extent, that is a positive attribute. That's not a pejorative term to push someone down. That is a positive attribute. You have to believe in your skills and have absolute trust in the men around you in order to successfully perform this function. Like you have to do that, because if you don't, if there's doubt, then you wind up being a liability, and you're going to pause when you shouldn't fucking pause, or you're going to not enter a room because you have doubt and fear. Now, both of those attributes or characteristics of a human are valuable. Like fear keeps you alive, right?
100%.
But at some point, you have to be able to say, I'm fucking scared as hell, but I'm going to go anyway, because that's my fucking job. And because other people are waiting or depending upon me to do that job so that they can be successful. It's a real, it's a headbutting kind of it's a headbutting kind of a situation to be in. And I want those people to have confidence. I don't want them to have arrogance. And that, to me, that is a characteristic of maturity. Because if you look at a 21-year-old, I know what the fuck I was when I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Running around the streets of South Central Los Angeles thinking I was bulletproof. Like, that's fucking stupid. And I'm thankful that God himself protected me from getting killed. But now at the point where I'm at, and where the point I've been at for quite a while, because I think I came to this realization a while ago, like, we can't be so arrogant that we think that we are the answer to everything, and to do so is foolish. So the ability to say, no, I cannot, is probably one of the hardest questions that any SWAT officer or the leadership of that team will ever face. Like it, because I mean, if you look at why does SWAT exist in the first place, right? Why do special weapons and tactics teams exist in the first place? Because
the equipment and tactics that the patrol officers had weren't able to handle.
Yes, because of training, experience, and equipment and tactics and all those other things. Like, we need something specialized in order to solve this equation. So as a SWAT officer, you're being set up for, you are the last decision. If you guys can't solve it, then nobody can fucking solve it within reasonable expectations. Like, we can't call in FBI, HRT. Not that they're the end all be all of everything, because honestly, my faith in the FBI has dwindled significantly in the last 2 decades. But you get where I'm going at, right? Like if we are the ultimate solution, if we are the solution to the city's problems, not only does that require that you have the ability to say no, have the ability to say, we can't solve this problem, or we're going to risk everything in order to do it. But it also places upon your shoulders as a SWAT officer enormous expectations from your own leadership within the department, from the city as a whole, and from your community, because there's nobody else to fucking call. Like, ask anybody in your community, in any community, if shit goes completely fucking sideways, what are you going to do? I'm going to call the police. Okay, they can't solve that problem. What are you going to do after that? Well, I hope they call the SWAT team. And that's where it ends. The conversation stops there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the pressure, the expectations that are on the shoulders of current like SWAT officers is something that most, like 90%, 95% of society cannot possibly understand unless they do it. And that's not me being egotistical or making an arrogant statement like I'm special.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of things.
Yeah.
Like, the reality is we have these 3 steps, and once we get to step 3, what do we do then? Well, I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Never made it to
Right?
step 3. Why are we here?
Let's do this. Let's go to some listener questions now. 'Cause
Okay.
I think we probably covered some of them, like this one, Sonic GTS 197, and I think we just went over this and covered it. But if there's anything else you want to add, what characteristics are you looking for in an individual to become an LE sniper, and what is expected of that individual on a personal and team level? I think you went into pretty good detail on that already, but is there anything else you want to add to it?
I think we did too. The only thing I don't think we did is their expectations, what they need to do. Shut the fuck up and be a sponge.
Yeah.
It really, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but me and Jeff both know guys that have huge amounts of experience outside of this law enforcement world who have shot fuckers in their face plenty of times, but they brought themselves to this world, humbled themselves down, just shut up and learned a new job and continued on. I don't care if you're the guy with the most experience or no experience. At some point in time, you just got to shut up and listen and suck it up. Learn everything that you possibly can. And I think that's really the only piece that we really, in my opinion, that we really didn't catch on that end is the expectations of you is shut up and do.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Yep.
This one comes from the last Lithuanian, and I think you guys might have met him. Did you meet Jake at SHOT Show? Yeah, that's Jake. Amy Winehouse.
Yes.
What areas do gas guns, AR-10s, shine versus bolt guns? What are the pros and cons to each platform in an LE sniper application?
In my opinion, I don't. In today's age with technology the way it is, I don't give a shit what you shoot. To me, it's not about, well, I shoot a gas gun or I shoot a bolt gun. I'm gonna tell you right now, me and Jeff cut our teeth on bolt guns. If you lay either one of them down in front of me, I'm gonna gravitate to a bolt gun. Mm-hmm. My reason is, 1, I cut my teeth on it. 2, it's a simplistic system with the least amount of moving parts. Now you take a guy that's cut his teeth on a gas gun, he's going to do the same thing. Well, it's semi-auto, follow shots are easier. It's this. I don't believe in today's society that one is better than another. I think it comes down to a personal preference. Now, if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I'd have told you if you shoot a gas gun in our environment, you're completely wrong. Technology has changed greatly, and I really don't see this huge fight anymore of one or the other. I really think it comes down to team personal preference and what your team is comfortable with. Comfort builds confidence, right? If you got 4 old guy snipers on there and all they've ever shot's a bolt gun and you try and stuff an AR-10 down their throat, world's going to change. So it comes down to being comfortable on it and knowledgeable about it. But today, I really think that we've lost the ability to say an AR-10 doesn't have a viable position in our world because of technology changes.
Yeah, and I would completely agree with that. Like, I think I would go even further back than 10 years. I probably short-stroked that. Yeah, I would say easily 15 or more where gas guns have proven to be as accurate as the inherent accuracy that you would find in a bolt action. I think part of the hesitation for guys like Tyler and I know for me specifically, part of the hesitation to acknowledge or accept like the potential or the benefits of a gas gun were purely personal. Like maybe it was my own ego or my own arrogance or my own whatever negative characteristic you want to stick in Jeff. Like, okay, I'm okay with like owning that and admitting to it. But as Tyler already stated, like I learned how to do this job on a bolt gun. My first SWAT team role as a sniper required that I brought a gun to the team in order to be a sniper. Like they didn't issue anything that would fulfill, properly or capably fill the role of a sniper rifle. I had to bring that gun to the fight, like to the position. If this is what you want to do, then this is what you got to bring. I was okay with that to an extent because it meant that I got to build the gun that I wanted, and it was my gun. Now, regardless of the fact that if I got in a shooting with it, I was going to lose that fucker for months or years, depending on the lawsuit. But I still have, like, my first choice will always still be like a bolt action rifle, which is not taking anything away from the accurized gas guns that are out there. Mm-hmm. And I think that the gap between like ultimate accuracy that is inherent to the platform has shrunken considerably between bolt action rifles and gas guns. What it boils down to is pretty much exactly what Tyler said. It's a subjective question. It depends upon what your needs are, what your team's needs are, and what you're willing to accept. So if you want the quick follow-up capability of a gas gun and the magazine capacity within a law enforcement sniper role, and that's what you believe in, then that's what you should go with, because that confidence translates directly into your personal performance.
Why not be proficient with both?
Well, absolutely. Yes, mm-hmm. Completely.
You could have the best of both worlds here. Come on.
And
we have teams that half their team are semi-autos and half their teams are bolt guns. Yeah. So, we have plenty of teams that fulfill both sides.
Well, and within Phoenix itself, when I first joined the team, I was issued a bolt action sniper rifle and I was issued a semi-automatic gas operated 308 carbine. I was issued both of them. Now, how much did I deploy? How many times did I deploy with the gas gun? Like minimal. I could probably count the number of times on one hand, because I had faith in the bolt action rifle for almost all of my deployment.
Working career. Yeah.
And if a 308 gas gun was appropriate, then at that moment, so was my 5.56 carbine. Like, is there any reason why a sniper can't deploy with a 5.56 gun? Absolutely not. It is entirely situationally dependent. Like, there are times when I would do that, and I had the optics on that carbine that would allow me to operate as a sniper with that particular platform. So I don't think there are really any limitations on caliber or operating system.
I was going to say, and along those lines, because we've got several questions about different calibers. We've got one here, John Adams, the 6mm ARC. There was this oddball round. What was that, Tyler's?
The 8.6 black.
Somebody asked about the 8.6 black. 6.5 Creedmoor. So what are your thoughts on all the different calibers here?
It's funny. We're literally in this fight. Me and Jeff co-chair our subject matter expert committee for Arizona Tactical Officers Association. So we get a ton of phone calls from agencies around the state about what about this round, or why are we shooting a 308? Why are we this? You know what? Why are we not still shooting the 308? Tell me what is so bad with the 308 in our world? Tell me what has gone so catastrophic with the 308 in our world. Do I believe in the 6.5? Absolutely. I'm currently running Daniel Defense Pro 5 in 6.5 to try and build this data. But we have 1,800 years of data built on the 308. We've got how many rounds that are built to do certain jobs that we're asking them to do. They're tried, they're true. They've been shot through barriers. I just shot a individual with one 3.5, almost 4 years ago now. It worked perfectly. 2 panes of glass, 12 feet inside the room, point A, point of impact. Where we get too into the weeds, and I really think this is where the outside source comes in and starts bringing in, well, in my world, this is what we use. Well, yeah, the ballistic coefficient of 6.5 Creedmoor is absolutely frigging phenomenal, but we're also going from 168 grain average size bullet to, say, a 140, maybe even 147. But tell me the data of that round in barriers. A 308 doesn't punch through the front of Circle K glass. You guys don't have Circle Ks out there, I don't think. But you're okay. Oh, you do? Okay, great. So 308s won't punch through that. What's a 6.5 going to do? It don't punch through it either. So we're really looking at why. Instead of why should I be shooting a 6.5? Why should I leave the 308? Believe you me, I have a 6.5 currently from Daniel Defense that we are running to build that data to give people those answers. We start looking at these 8.6 black. We talked
Never
about
heard of
bit.
it. What is the 8.6 black?
So the 8.6 black is a 300 blackout on crack.
I love 300 blackout
terms.
Yeah, I love the 300 blackout.
It's a 6.5 Creedmoor case. Neck down, stripped way down, with the 338 Lapua bullet stuffed in the end of it.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so
will that punch through Circle K?
No, it's not. It's you're looking at like 2,500 feet per second with like a 200 grain bullet. Jeez. If a 168 at 2,700 is not punching through it, a fatter bullet going slower ain't going through it either, right? I'm not saying don't change. I'm not saying that we can't look at something else. What I'm saying is until you can build me the data that proves that it's going to outperform a round that we've used for 70 years or 50 years, whatever it's been, I can't, as me, say, yep, we're buying that and sending it down the road.
Or
you want to build the data.
Or the 300 Win Mag, that's a pretty well-used round cartridge as well, the 300 Win Mag.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
we have agencies here in the state that run it for a big bore gun. My agency runs a 50 cal. We've been shot by one. We had one of our deputies' vehicle be shot by a 50 BMG. We fight different people here. To fight a 50, you fight it with a 50. Actually, I'd like to fight it with the 20 mil, but my agency wouldn't quite back me on that,
right? But it sounds like, again, it's mission specific. Also, so
sure.
The mission's going to determine the round that you use,
right? And we'll kind of break it down. What is so wrong with the 223 that agencies are dropping it in droves for about a 3 to 5 year period and suddenly coming back to the 300 blackout? I think 300 blackout's a freaking fun gun. If I'm going to zip four-legged creatures out of a helicopter for sport fun on the weekend, right? I don't think it does what I want it to do in the law enforcement realm. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah. And it boils down to a couple other things here too. Like, there's nothing wrong with a 6.5 Creedmoor, a 300 blackout.
Absolutely not.
Name your caliber, okay? There's nothing wrong with that ballistically in a vacuum. Okay.
Yes.
Here's the point I want to make too. Like, despite all of the mathematical and statistical advantages of going to another caliber, what does the 308 do that currently, or what can't the 308 do that you're currently facing? I'm not necessarily like a proponent of the 308 as like the ultimate anything. Like, I couldn't care less what the fuck you shoot. But here's the other side of it. what's the ammo availability of that? How much is it going to cost you? What does it take in order to either convert what you have currently, what you're using currently, to that caliber, or what does it take for you to build your team around that caliber from the ground up? Like two different circumstances, right? Like I'm converting, I want to transition from this to that, or I have the incredible opportunity to start from the ground up and build it from scratch. Okay. Two like awesome opportunities, but you cannot deny, at least from like a logistical, a price point, and a like who, like what government entity that has no idea what the fuck you do is going to buy off on all those three perspectives. Like what can you get away with? So, and what will do the most good? Mm-hmm. So yes, the 308, is it an antiquated round? I don't think I would describe it as antiquated.
No.
I would describe it as massively backed up by fucking decades of data.
Yeah.
Okay. And within the police environment where we're dealing with, and I will be completely liberal about this.
You want to deal with certainties.
Inside of 400 yards. Okay. I'm going to give somebody over 200 yards, over 300 yards of leeway for the longest shot ever made by a police sniper. I'm going to give you over 100 yards of margin for error. So within 400 yards, what is the advantage of going to a different caliber, and what does that mean logistically with regard to cost analysis and ability to acquire those rounds so you can do the training?
Let me ask you this. What is your preferred round?
So my preferred round is the 308, because the 308 can do literally 99% of what I need it to do.
I was getting that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. What about you, Tyler?
Same thing. You know what? I've used it in live situations. I've shot just about every training environment that you could come up with, obviously within reason, right? And it's performed. We've talked to people around the United States, and it's really hard to go away from when you're getting performance out of something that's there. That's tried true data. It's not scientific data that some MIT student out of college who's never even shot a gun writes some numbers down on paper and tells you that's.
And it's boring. It's boring as fuck, right? Like the 308 is boring as fuck. Like who gives a shit?
It's not sexy.
I like it.
No, it's not.
I like it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do too. I love it.
I've
killed four-legged creatures with it. It's an effective round, but we also have to dial it back to why we love it is because it fits the job we're asking it to do.
Yes. Yeah. Completely. And I'm totally down with like the 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 300 PRC, 28 and 30 Nosler. Like I'm totally down with using those rounds when it's appropriate. And for the dudes that are overseas that are whacking skinnies for a living. Like I'm completely down with that. I understand that the advantages of those outweigh anything else, and I totally understand that. But once again, to get back to the beginning of this entire conversation, like we are United States law enforcement officers dealing with or confronting U.S. citizens within our cities and our counties,
our communities. Yeah,
98% of the time.
Yeah,
U.S. citizens.
And you know, when I was overseas,
maybe not that many.
When I was overseas, a target was defined as anybody who is on this fucking road.
Right. Yeah.
Like that was the standard broader. I had to meet.
Yeah.
If you're on the road, you are a fucking shootable target. In absolutely zero patch of land in the United States is that standard.
Have we been given that?
Is that standard set?
Not on the border?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay, my bad. My bad.
That's 3-letter federal government people. We don't really talk about that.
All right,
that's a completely
next question.
definition.
Let's go to our next question. Bonafide breed, and he had a ton of questions.
We talked about him earlier. He came up with some good stuff.
Yeah, he had a lot of questions. And I'll be remiss if I don't ask at least one. We'll probably get a couple in here. What is the furthest distance shot with and without a tripod? And I think he wants to know your personal.
Personal for me, the longest shot I've ever have in a training environment is 2.5 miles. My furthest shot standing on a tripod is 1 mile.
With
2.5 miles with the 50 BMG, and 1 mile standing was a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah, and for me, it's entirely been. I'm glad Tyler said in a training environment, because I can't even think of one instance where I would ever take a shot.
No way, not doing
like at those kinds
even
of,
on a 4-legged animal, not happening.
Not even a fraction of that distance on a live human, but
he didn't specify. He didn't specify target or let's just assume it's a target.
So target as defined by the general broad term of
not alive.
Anything you're trying to hit. For me, it's been probably somewhere in the 11 or 1,200 yard range.
Okay.
It's and that was with a 308.
Okay. Bolt.
Yeah. Yes.
What's your preferred bolt action rifle?
Daniel Defense.
So that's
it is now, isn't it?
That's a tricky question.
It's a nice
for me,
one.
It is.
It is a nice one.
For me personally, it's my own personal Remington 700 that I built when I was working for Fort Wayne, Indiana. That thing is a tack driver, has been for the last 21 years.
Wow. Have you done anything special to it? Anything specialized?
Well, it was a custom rifle from the very beginning, because like I mentioned at the beginning of this, I had to build this rifle in order to be a sniper on the team. So I built it the way that I wanted it to be built. So it's an off-the-shelf, literally, it was like the action was hanging on a hook it pains me that I can't remember the name of the place. Oh, Sinclair International.
Oh,
so
okay.
Sinclair International, which is now owned by Brownells, which is Sinclair International was a local store or company in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I used to go down there for all kinds of stuff. The action that this rifle is built off of was a used action hanging on a hook on a pegboard in their showroom. And I built that rifle, and I had GA Precision accurize the shit out of the action. And I put an Obermeyer barrel on it, which is probably an unknown name to a lot of fucking people now, which is sick.
Right.
And I stuck it in a prototype Macmillan A5 stock, which I had a hand in developing with Macmillan. And that thing shoots knots all day long. But that damn rifle is an absolute tack driver.
We still shoot
but that doesn't mean that the Daniel Defense Delta 5 Pro can't do that, or the Accuracy International actions can't do that, or any name your
whatever.
Name your brand.
Yeah,
Defiance. Sure. It doesn't matter.
1,000 yards is nothing for anybody anymore
these days. Yeah, it's kind of like the 1 minute mile, or the 2 minute mile kind of thing. Yeah. People keep getting closer and closer to getting a 1 minute mile. It's ridiculous. Yeah. All right, next question. And this we're going to do a rewind back to the jack wagon train. Corey Brown says, my jack wagon is the NFA. It's been 3 days since I ordered my suppressor, and I can't take it home yet. And hey, dude, I've had mine for a year now, and it's still in jail.
I'm approaching 9 months on my last NFA. Love them.
I'm 12 months,
if anybody's
man.
out there and hearing this, can you bump us up just a little bit?
They may probably should have said that. They'll probably make you wait longer.
Yeah.
It says his hero is my wife for letting me order another suppressor. There you go.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I would buy her some flowers or take her to a really nice
Nothing
dinner
wrong with that. My wife is my
Delmonico's
hero
in
too.
Las Vegas.
I would do some
look out for her.
unmentionables. I would do some unmentionables to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another jack wagon, he says, would be Justin Trudeau, which we talked about. Maybe ask ask the guys what they think of the Canadian police following these ridiculous orders.
Man, it's we talked about it a bunch, man. We actually have a class in our academy, and it's called Lessons of the Holocaust. It's from our county attorney that literally comes in and teaches this class to be like, listen, you can't be power of the state to a certain degree, right? So it's a little tough, man. I get it. I signed up to stand by the laws of the state of Arizona and the laws of the United States. But at some point in time, you have to look at this objectively.
But a mandate is not a law.
No, it's not a law. And
a mandate is not a law.
Shit, because you're not going to mandate me to do it. So I think it's horseshit. I think it's we go back to that thing. We look at somebody to be able to tell you no to do our job. But there's a whole lot of fucking yes men that do this because the top is like, hey, man, you do me. I'll help you get to the next level. And it's bullshit.
Yeah. And, man, that is a deep question. Like, we could go down
a whole other show on that. Yeah.
For another 2 fucking hours, right? Because this speaks directly to like every individual's moral and ethical beliefs.
Yep.
Like, holy shit. I'll tell you right now, if my chief told me you shall do this, like I will set my badge on that table like yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to. There's a bigger picture.
Or just
here.
say okay and go out and just like Tyler and I was talking earlier. He came to Nashville. And I think he said when they came, they had the mask mandates, but he said nobody's wearing the mask and nobody was enforcing it. They just had the signs everywhere. I was like, well, that's because the law enforcement here are of that mindset. They're like, this is stupid. I'm not going to enforce it. So,
well, let me throw this out there too. Like our hiring unit, like the unit that is responsible for hiring new candidates to come to the police academy, they did a thing where they went to the state of Ohio. I don't know where the fuck they went. I don't know whether they went to like a county fair or to a university. I have no idea. Regardless, they went to Ohio and they recruited 37. I'm going to be careful about this. 37-ish like applicants that expressed a desire and filled out an application to laterally transfer to the Phoenix Police Department, which is what I did. I laterally transferred to the Phoenix PD. They filled out that application, they signed the shit and whatever else, and then our city government said like every city employee shall be vaccinated and whatever else, following the bullshit lemming trail to the fucking cliff that the U.S. government is pushing.
Yeah.
Every single one of those applicants pulled their application because of that.
Yep.
Good for them.
And I can't. Yeah, absolutely.
Good 100%.
For them.
Now the government's supposed to start their discharges of the military now for people who aren't getting vaccinated, right?
I have 100% I support that 100% and believe absolutely and think that is the right decision, despite the fact that it affects me personally, because
I don't agree with them discharging them because they're not getting the vaccination. I wholeheartedly disagree with that, but I stand behind them for not doing it. But
yes,
what good does that do? Because then they get discharged, then they don't have a paycheck, they don't have a job. They probably get dishonorably discharged. I don't know how they would do that, go about doing it.
Buddy might said they said it's less than honorable and that you can change it within the first year.
Yeah, it's that other than honorable discharge that you can appeal and change.
Yeah,
but it's another step that every single one of those guys should never have to go through.
No, fuck no.
Nope, absolutely not. All right, let's move on. So, do you guys have access to social media right now? Facebook, Instagram?
Yes.
So I want you to go to that post that I did, and I want you to go through. There's Instagram and Facebook. I've got it on both. Go to my Facebook page, Talking Lead. Go to my Instagram page and go
I'm
through
afraid
there
to
and
log off. I'm gonna let Jeff do it because I'm on my phone.
okay.
So I'm gonna screw this up, and we know how.
So Jeff, you pick
technically savvy I
one.
am.
You pick one for Tyler to field, and then you field one too. But just go through there and look at one that you'd really like to answer.
Something easy.
All right.
This is not Stump the Sniper.
You're right. Yeah, no shit, huh? Okay, so I'm looking through it right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you.
This one's for Tyler.
We already covered Sonic GT _ S197. So
yeah, we did that one already.
Thanks, bro. You got some good questions, but I'm going to pass you up. What is your preferred? Oh, never mind. Okay, here we go. Brett.Beddow, Beddow. What is the process to develop a good dope sheet for your rifle, yardage, and wind holds?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty deep question. It could go pretty long-winded.
Let's keep it short and sweet.
All right, cool.
We'll save the long one for another episode.
You know what? Seriously, the best dope sheet that you can do is literally shoot every freaking yard that you could possibly do, because I don't give a shit what a calculator says. I still have to incorporate what my scope does, what that actual rifle's doing, what I'm doing. So to actually build the absolute best sheet that your sheet that you can do is go out, put yourself in that environment, and shoot every yard line. We run a class, our intermediate school. We make our shooters belly shoot the entire first day, and we shoot yardages from 100 to 1,000 yards. At 300 yards, we start doing 50-yard increments, and after 400, we shoot 25-yard increments all the way out to damn near 1,000 yards. By the end of that day, if you have no idea what you're gun shooting, you are wrong. There's no better truing, there's no better dope sheet than to physically put rounds on target and calculate that.
Well, that's due diligence, right? That's our responsibility.
Yes. And
like when it comes down to it, if your wife is being held hostage and you're at 475 yards, you expect that fucking sniper to know how to make that shot. So if we're not doing it, then in my mind, it's negligent. Like you're negligent. Like, what the fuck are you for?
You know who else is negligent? Me. Because I did not record the video. I wasn't recording the video this whole fucking time because I started recording it and then we had all those issues and I stopped.
Oh shit.
And I forgot to. I mean, luckily I'm doing the audio, so we got the audio, which is the main thing.
I'm okay with that.
That's the main thing. But I just now started recording the video, so I didn't get that damn Alec Baldwin video on there. So.
Oh, good. So I'm like 4 or 5 whiskeys in, and I've got that Asian flush thing going. So thanks, bro. Yeah,
that's what he was waiting for, actually.
Yeah, just timing. The timing was everything.
No, but like to speak exactly to Tyler's point, like that's your responsibility. If this is the job you want to do, then you are we are going to hold you accountable to that because that's your fucking job.
Right.
Like that's your job.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be lazy and now don't get me wrong. We're going to chrono guns. I'm going to put the atmospherics in. We're going to use a ballistic calculator because all that's going to do is give me a tri-dope, right? A wild ass guess for fucking lack of better terms, right? But until I physically shoot it with the scope that I've chosen, actually dialing dope into the scope, putting myself in that environment, pressing the trigger, and ensuring that I can hold groups at that distance, I don't have a dope card. I've got something that a computer kicked out that should work, and it don't.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to add this to this conversation because this is an opportunity that I was hoping that I would have to say. Every sniper on the planet, military or law enforcement, wants to shoot their rifle. That every sniper on the planet, since the beginning of time, wants to utilize that weapon in the manner that they have been trained to use it. And it's not about It's not about killing a guy. It's not about shooting a human. It's not about anything other than validating every single thing you've done for your entire career up to that point, right?
100%.
U.S. Olympic athletes, like the Olympic stage is not the end-all be-all that proves that they are the greatest in the world, but it is a world stage, and it is an opportunity to show what they've done, what they've sacrificed, how much effort they've put into it, all of these things on a world stage. There are bigger titles than, like, I won the Olympic giant slalom in skiing, right? This is akin to that. Every single sniper wants to do that, and it's not about killing. It's about validating the goddamn countless hours, the thousands of dollars that they've put into training, all the sacrifices that they've asked their wife and their children to make, all the selfishness that was rationalized into existence. And I use the word rationalized for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All of that shit leads up to that one single moment, and that one moment that you actually get to perform the job that you've been training for validates everything, as long as it works out okay. If you shoot the wrong person, you're going down a hole that you may not recover from. And I've seen that before too. If you make a bad decision, the point is the amount of, like, I as a human being, I as an individual have poured into this specific profession. Like, I can't even quantify it. It's not, I cannot put a dollar amount on it or a value on it or anything. All I know is it's a feeling, and it's something that I've been, like, from my heart and my soul has driven me to get to the point where I'm at. And not being able to do that is that's a gigantic fucking pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So,
but maybe do you think that's why you started the training also, is to pass on and maybe that validation in another way, your expression in another way by the teaching and passing it on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, completely.
Yeah, and I think a lot of too why we started is that both me and Jeff have we'll flat disagree with each other in class, but we'll still get to the same answer, and that's okay. But we started this because we've both been to classes for years together, a lot of the times actually, and we had done it in a class, and I'm like, that class was for the instructor. That class wasn't for the student. Me and Jeff have a believing that it's not about me, it's about you, and we want to ensure that you get the information to employ. It's not about, look at me. We're not the wearing cry pants to training. I don't give a fuck how I look. I wear blue jeans and a t-shirt most of the time to sniper school because I don't have to wear $500 pants to tell you I can shoot a gun and help you shoot a gun better. You know what I mean? So we literally started the program because we saw a need for something different and something to actually be there to give the student, and not just a shooting class. It's a full functioning class from team side all the way to pressing the trigger.
Where are you getting $500 pants?
Cry Precision. I don't own any. Never will.
They sell $500 pair of pants at Cry? Jesus.
Yeah.
I thought Titanica was expensive.
It's from the companies whose sole focus is winning a government contract.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Shoot good, look good. Look good, shoot good. Is that how it goes?
Well, yeah. I'm not going to deny that. Like, you should fucking look good when you're shooting.
I mean, have you seen my beard, for Christ's sakes? That just looks good itself.
Pick another one.
And it's small now.
Jeff, pick another one. Pick one for you.
Okay, so one of the questions that stood out for me was from a dude who, his name is Bonafide_breed.
Yeah.
And his question is, what do you think is the biggest misconception of a sniper? And I'm going to answer this.
Well, let's do this. Now it's time for the Talking Lead Facts to Fight the Myths with Jeff Chang.
Good. Yeah, that works. Yeah, so my fact to fight the myth, and I'm going to answer this mostly obviously, well, maybe not obviously. I'm going to answer this from a law enforcement perspective. And one of the biggest misconceptions of the law enforcement, of a police sniper, is the fact that this is an easy game in the world of sniping. Because honestly, when I'm on the roof of one house and I'm looking across the street at the front of another house, I'm inside 40 yards. Like 40 fucking yards. Like a lot of dudes can do that with a handgun. Okay, well here's the problem that I have with that. This is not a fucking easy job, regardless of range. Like range is one of the factors, absolutely. I don't have to account for wind at 40 yards or inside 40 yards. But like I do, like that quarter minute adjustment on my scope actually has a consequence to it. Right? It's not the fact that, well, I hit him in the tip of the nose when I was aiming for the bridge of his nose. You know what? That tip of his nose could be the difference between striking a hostage in front of him as opposed to striking the actual hostage taker. So, and that's just the physical, like, surface understanding of the entire thing. One of the hardest deployments I ever had in my entire, like, military or police, was sitting on top of a parking structure looking at a U.S. veteran sitting inside his car, literally with a gun under his chin.
Jeez.
In the VA parking lot at the hospital, looking for help.
Man,
like that is, I was inside 50 yards of that guy. And if you think about what that means, like I could see every movement on that man's face.
Unimaginable.
I could see the emotion in his expression. I literally watched him make the decision. Like, I literally watched him make the fucking decision whether or not to shoot himself. And, like, thank God that he took that barrel out from under his chin and set the gun on the dashboard of his car.
Yeah. Man.
But like, I wasn't in that guy's brain. And that decision, the decision that he made, not that I made, the decision that he made in that moment was, I don't even know how to, like, you can't measure that. There's no time scale, like he was X number of milliseconds from doing this, or he was like, whatever. I cannot even put that in perspective in terms of time. But I watched him do it. Like, I understand. I've been in a ditch in the cold and mud looking at an Iraqi citizen on the shoulder of the road of MSR Tampa, just south of Baghdad. I've looked at him. I've quartered him with my freaking reticle at, 350 yards, whatever it was. Like, minute of man as a target, that's a chip shot. Like, I can be completely off on my fucking wind call and I'll still hit him. And it really wouldn't have mattered if I hit him in the shoulder or if I hit him in the heart. Like, he's still out of the fight. Like, mission accomplished. Okay? But this guy, he was 60-ish years old, sitting in his car in the driver's seat in the fucking parking lot of the Veterans Administration Hospital. Like, in the hospital. Not the side of a street. Not some Home Depot fucking parking lot. At the fucking hospital where he's supposed to go
to get
for help.
Yeah. which he
And
probably obviously wasn't getting.
I didn't do that once. I've done it twice at the same hospital.
And you don't see stats like that. They don't give you stats like that, you know.
Absolutely not.
And those stories you don't hear about.
And when I re-enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2004, like with zero obligation, coming from off contract back into the Marine Corps as a staff NCO, I was a gunnery sergeant. Like, there's even more questions when you try to re-enlist off contract as a staff NCO. Like, why the fuck did you leave in the first place, right? Like, I didn't re-enlist because I wanted to save a nation or because I wanted to free a people. I re-enlisted because I wanted to contribute to the survival of my Marines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, that's selfish as a person individually and as a nation. As a representative of a nation, that's fucking selfish.
But you hear that story over and over and over again.
Yes.
I'm not here for my country. I'm here for my brother. I'm here for the guy next to me. That's why I do it.
Yes. And it didn't matter.
Over and over again.
I mean, I was fortunate when George W. was president when I re-enlisted because he was somebody that I supported
helps
and
when
believed in.
Helps when you got a leader that you believe in, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, he was easy for me to believe in, regardless of whether he used the word like strategery.
That's my people. You leave him alone.
Yeah, like regardless of that fact, I still would have done it if frickin' Bill Clinton were president.
Yeah,
or Barack Obama, neither of which who I supported. Like both of those people, it's not about that specific person. It's about the Marines that I've served alongside and I've become personal friends with. And I mean, like Tyler knows just as well as I do. Like, it's not. I say Marines as like a big, broad stroke fucking group. Like, we're all brothers regardless. Anyways, the Iraqi on the side of Tampa that I was looking at on that particular day, he was a nobody. And I honestly, like, if he lived or died, didn't affect me at all. The veteran that I saw in that parking lot, whether he lived or died, like, honestly,
taught you to the end of the day.
It wouldn't, I mean, personally, it wouldn't affect me. Well, from a surface perspective, it wouldn't affect me whether he lived or died because I didn't know him either. But the difference maker is he's a fucking veteran. Just like
it's like you, it's like me, and
yes.
It does matter.
Yeah,
and the fact that
because that could be me sitting there.
22 a day take their life.
Yes.
Right.
So regardless of range, whether it's 37 yards or 468 yards, like there's a difference there. There's a difference between people from literally on the other side of the world and my own citizens who I've dedicated my entire adult life to protecting. Like, that's the difference. Like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck who you voted for or what your sexual preference is or what pronouns you fucking use. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. If you are a U.S. citizen, that fucking matters. That matters.
Oh, then that gets me off on this Olympics, too, where we got these U.S. citizens that are competing for China.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Stay there.
It
live under that rule.
Frustrates me to no end. All right,
but
we got one more question. We're gonna do one more question, and then I want you to go through Facebook, Instagram, and I want you to pick who our winner's going to be of the Seal 1 CLP cleaning package. Jeff, since Tyler doesn't have his
I'm screwing off
social
over here,
media
not doing nothing.
But the question comes from Ryan Johnson. It says, I was wondering, what must-have features and magnifications do you look for in a scope? Also, do you use a bipod or bags in the field?
Yes. No. So we're laughing because literally we've been having this conversation with some of our companions in this world recently, and I'm going to tell you right now that this is a big thing with me and Jeff, and so it's funny that this question come up. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to name a company name. And I'm going to give you the exact scope because I believe in it to that point.
Okay, and that's fine.
I literally want the lowest magnification, largest field of view that I could possibly have in a second focal plane scope. Today's standard, the best thing that me and Jeff have found on the market is the Night Force NX8 2.5 to 20. My team's currently running them. We're seeing them change over in droves, right? Think about it. Me and Jeff just talked about it through the show. Our standard, my police engagement, actually law enforcement engagement on an individual is 62 yards. I've averaged about 80 yards, but I live in a different environment. On the daily in a city environment, you're 40 to 50 yards off the front door of a house. Why in the Christ are we listening to military snipers and buying 5 to 25 by 56 ATACers with first focal plane scope when it's on 5 power? You can't even see the crosshair, right? So literally, I want a minute of angle scope because we still do American fucking math the last time I checked. So let's keep 1-to-1 in our standard, and let's put it in a second focal plane scope that I don't give a shit what environment are. You can see the 2x4 in the reticle and have the ability to run from a extreme low power and have the ability to burn through cover concealment and look deep inside of a house to gain intel for the team. I don't need high power to make a shot. Matter of fact, it's counterintuitive. The higher you turn the power on, the more it looks like you move. You're not moving any more or any less. But people are like, well, I don't get it. Turn the power up. It's a magnifying glass, you dipshit. I need the absolute best and most vision that I could possibly get. Today's standard, what we found, mine and Jeff's belief is hands down the Night Force NX8 2.5 to 20.
So you speak for Jeff.
And
okay.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And I will add this to it. Like, I have zero issue with a mil reticle.
Absolutely not.
Or mil scope, reticle and turret. I have zero issue with that.
Love them.
The reason why, and I have zero issue with the first focal plane reticle outside of anything, outside of like modern, like urban police sniper needs.
Exactly.
Like, I draw a distinction between myself and Tyler because for me in the city of Phoenix, like, literally everything we do is urban and it's in a built up area that we like. If it is extremely rare that we'll find ourselves out in the open desert. For Tyler, it's different. Like, his entire city is a fraction of the size of Phoenix, and it includes incorporated areas that are outside of his city that can go hundreds of yards. So I don't necessarily have a problem with first focal plane reticles, except for the fact that for those of us that are in cities like Phoenix, where we're dealing with everything, and I'll be generous, everything inside of 150 yards, because there are times when I have looked at positions or been on incidents or like hindsight 2020 judged my own deployment. I can see where, like, yeah, I should have been here rather than there, but that would have pushed me to 135 yards. I know that Tyler mentioned this already, and I'll just kind of build upon that. We believe that the second focal plane reticle is the most appropriate reticle in a police in a like a metropolitan police sniper scope or rifle scope for a sniper rifle, because honestly, like, you can go through the process and go through the math of determining your come ups or your holdovers from 100 to, call it 15 yards. You can do that. I mean, knock yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual physical, like, deviation from 100 to 15 yards is a matter of maybe an inch and a quarter, inch and a half, right? So, not to contradict myself, while I already said that quarter inch from tip of the nose to bridge of the nose can make a difference in those in that specific situation, what I'm saying now is, yes, that still matters, and yes, you should know it. But for me personally, if I have a 100-yard zero on my gun and I find myself deployed at 35 yards, I'm going to spin that freaking turret to my 50-yard zero, and that's it. I'm calling it good. So with that being my personal practice and my belief, does it matter whether or not I have a first focal plane reticle? Well, fuck no, it doesn't. Because if I'm aiming for that fucker's left eye, and I need to hold on his eyebrow, I don't need a fucking turret to do that.
Yeah.
And the second focal plane allows me to see my aiming point precisely, regardless of power. Mm-hmm. Okay, there absolutely is an application for a first focal plane reticle. And when I was overseas, I would not choose anything different.
Nope.
Okay, that's absolutely what I want to have, and what is going to be necessary and most applicable to my environment.
Good example of LE versus military
100%.
Yes. Different equipment, different everything. Yeah.
But as a police sniper, being able to see without a doubt 100% the intersection of that vertical and vertical and horizontal stadia lines under bullshit fucking conditions. And by that I mean, like, it's 2 a.m. Everything is dark except for the dining room light inside the house and the lights illuminating the pool in the backyard. If you've never seen that through a rifle scope at let's call it 3.5 power, right? Because 3.5 is a common minimum for a lot of freaking rifle scopes. If you've never seen that at 3.5 power in a first focal plane reticle at 47 yards, then you have no idea. You have no basis from which to say this reticle is better than that one. Well, because I have, and I've seen it, and I've used the very top of the reticle on the vertical stadia line, and I've used the very right edge of the reticle on the horizontal line, and interpolated those two connection points in order to find my aiming point on a bad guy who's standing in the dark, backlit by the light inside the house and partially illuminated, not really, by the pool lights. I've had to find that intersection based on these 2 points in order to find my aim point to shoot that guy. That's fucking ridiculous.
Well, here's another backer off of where me and Jeff think of this. We literally just sat down with Night Force at SHOT Show 3 weeks ago, and said, "Hey, here's what we're looking for. Here's why we want it. Thanks for building it." Went through this entire spiel with them, and they said, "Do you realize how many Night Force ATACR 5 to 25, 7 to whatever? Jesus Christ! Look at the moon scope that we send out in first focal plane, and 6 months later." The agency calls back and says, "These don't work. We need a second focal plane scope."
Yeah.
This is from Night Force, who receives the calls back from these agencies that get this misinformation from a law enforcement sniper. Half the scopes in my safe currently are first focal plane scopes, but I'm not using them mission-specific law enforcement. And that's where we forget. And we buy scopes that are specific for a different need, right, and try and force them into the application that we're asking them to do, and they fail to perform.
And never mind, just 3 weeks ago at the SHOT Show, I had that conversation with Todd Litt at Night Force literally 7 or 8 years ago.
Years ago, Yes.
7 or 8 years ago, he was telling me the same thing.
Yeah.
So-and-so agency bought these freaking scopes. They put first focal plane H59 reticles in them. I don't know what it was, but I'm just throwing that thing out there. They bought these first focal plane H59s, and 6 months later, they were literally calling us saying, "Can we trade these back in for second focal plane minute of angle scopes?" So, I don't.
There's your answer.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Did you go through and pick a winner? Did you get us a winner? Who's our winner?
I don't know, man. I think that dude specifically is pretty good. That's a good question.
So that last one that we just did?
Yeah, Ryan, whatever his name was.
Ryan Johnson. Said, I was wondering what must have features and magnifications you look for in a scope. So there we go.
Yes, there it is.
I think he's a solid candidate.
Okay, there we go. So Ryan, you are the winner of the Seal 1 CLP complete cleaning kit here. And if you let me know what caliber that you shoot with your rifle, I'll make sure that the pads that he's got in there will match your caliber for that. So shoot me an email, talkingled.
Standing Offhand.
Yes, send me an email, talkingled@gmail.com. Let me know that you won. Let me know what you won. And then, of course, your contact info. We'll forward that on to Dwight over at Seal 1, and you'll get that. And, guys, I want to send you some of this also. So I'll get I'll get your addresses when we get off here. Make sure you get some of this too. Try it out. Dwight would definitely want to get this in your hands. So,
yep,
guys, it's a great show. I apologize again to our listeners, to you guys, because I boned up on the video. we got 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes of video here to go along with our 2.5 hour conversation. So,
good.
I told you, man, I don't put a limit on it. As long as the information is coming and we're flowing, and you guys were flowing, baby, I love it. This has been great. I learned a lot listening to you. So, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on. I would love to have you on again because I think there's a whole lot more we could talk about. You know, we get a whole lot more information out of you guys.
Back.
Yes. Yeah, I would be happy to join you again. This absolutely you nailed it. This has been a good conversation, and I'm glad we had. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to get this kind of discussion out there.
Yeah, I think our LE community that listens will definitely find this useful, and you're probably going to get a lot of calls from them. So, how can they get in touch with you?
So we have neither of us participate in Facebook specifically, even though Instagram, goddamn it, owns Facebook. That drives me fucking crazy.
Monopoly.
Neither of us really have a presence on Facebook, but Instagram is at standing_offhand. That is an easy way to get a hold of us. Both of us have email addresses, jeff@standingoffhand.com or tyler@standingoffhand.com. We have a very, very good personal relationship with Daniel Defense. So I hesitate to say that we are sponsored by Daniel Defense, but if someone really wanted to press the issue, that's probably what we are. Daniel Defense has endorsed us as ambassadors of their brand. They provide material support to us, factory support to us. We are currently shooting their rifles. We have been for the last year, the Delta 5 Pro in both 6.5 Creedmoor and 308.
Mm-hmm.
We've been shooting their rifles, and honestly, I went into that relationship with I tried to go into that relationship with an open mind, and that rifle has proven itself to me specifically.
Very nice.
It's a
nice rifle.
Yeah, for me personally, regardless of their reputation in the carbine world, which their carbines perform flawlessly, that's what Phoenix SAU shoots. This rifle has impressed me beyond my expectations. So
very nice.
we can answer any questions regarding those rifles specifically, and would be happy to put you in touch with people that can help you out with that.
Great bunch of guys there at Daniel Defense with Jason and Jake and Nate, all the guys over there. Great bunch of people. I'm going to be out there in March like 21st. Is that what I said? 21st to the 25th.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to hook up. So when I'm
good.
I'm out there, I'm going to be at Gun Sights range. So
good.
I'll try to hook up with you guys.
We as a company, Standing Offhand, will be at the Texas Tactical Police Officers Association in May, and at the Ohio Tactical Officers Association conference in June. So if any of your viewers or listeners are in that part of the country and are looking to be at those conferences, we will be at both of them.
Very cool. Are you guys going to NRA?
Yes.
You're going to be at NRA?
Obviously, an NRA member. We're still in talks with Daniel Defense whether we're going to do the NRA show. We are going to the Rocky Mountain Tactical Team Association, I believe is what it is, in August as well.
Okay.
So we'll be there for that. Some other stuff's obviously coming on hand, and you've got it up on the screen now, but Jeff forgot to mention our website's the easiest way to go. It's got all our contact information on it as well.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the fucking website.
I was trying to give you a hint. That's why I brought it up there.
Well, he's helping us out. So, but that's standingoffhand.com as well.
Best way to get in touch with them, go to their website, but you have the Instagrams and all the other stuff. And there's this neat little contact button right there, and they've got a calendar with their courses and events and things that are going on. And if you guys go to NRA, make sure you let me know. I'm going to be set up at the Kel-Tec booth. Kel-Tec will be the official lead quarters during the NRA this year, and that's in Houston. So you guys come by. We'll have the studio set up there. And if I don't see you before then, in March, we'll see you there, definitely. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very
Fantastic.
good. So a big thanks to all the sponsors that made this show possible. Again, Seal One. Check them out, seal1.com. You get all their products with the Seal One, the paste. They've got aerosol. They've got the pre-soaked, they call them seal skins, the bore pads there, and the microcloths, everything you need to keep your gun clean, protected, and ready to go. Seal1.com. Mission First Tactical. Go to their website. Actually, go Seal One. You use the code LEADHEAD, you're going to get 25% off. So don't forget that. And then Mission First Tactical for all your AR-15 accessories, your holsters, your awesome dump trays that they do there. They make these cool little dump trays, guys. Let me stop sharing my screen so you can see these. Stop sharing. Boom. So I use these as my my gunsmithing when I'm working on my guns or cleaning my guns. These are great for putting your parts in, and
that's awesome. Yeah, those are nice.
And you can get all kinds of different things printed on them. They'll custom print for you if you want your own logos on there. You can get the Talking Lead logos. We did one with Bill. You guys said you're friends with Bill. You know, he's with FLIOA. We went to their conference this year. We had some special ones made up when we were at that conference with them.
Nice.
So you guys go to Mission First Tactical and use the code LEADHEAD there. You're going to get 20% off anything on their website. And if you don't see the Talking Lead logoed stuff, just tell them you want the Talking Lead logo, and they can put it on holsters, the dump trays, and they got at least tactical wallet things. I don't have one handy. Great for business cards and things like that. 1776united.com. That's where you're going to get the official Talking Lead logoed, our Leadhead Brigade patches, our T-shirts. You can get those at 1776united.com. Use the code TALKINGLEAD. You're going to get 20% off there. Factory 47 for our AK Corner aficionados. You get all our AK Corner T-shirts, hoodies, and we got mugs that's got the AK Corner logo on them. There you can get those. That's at Factory 47. It's FAKTORY 47.com. Use code LEADHEAD. You're going to get 10% off there. Our buddies over at Flatline Fiber Co. For their slings, their dump pouches that he's improved upon. You use the code LEADHEAD at Flatline Fiber Co. You get 10% off there. And then Defiant Munitions, which I need to introduce you guys to Pete at Defiant Munitions. He makes a really good quality ammo. He's got all kinds of different rounds now that he's pumping out. He definitely does the 308. Defiant Munitions, use the code LEADHEAD, all caps. You get 10% off at Defiant Munitions. He's even making a coffee. He's got a coffee blend there. So I don't drink coffee, but he sent me some for my girlfriend. She loves it. So that says a lot when she likes some coffee. She's very particular and picky about her stuff. And then, of course, Kel-Tec Weapons. We're going to be there, like I said, at NRA. I think it's in May is when that is, I think. But it's still a little bit out, but I'll keep you informed on all the cool stuff and giveaways and things that we're going to be doing with Kel-Tec at the NRA convention.
I want one of those shotguns that they make that has the
KSGs.
It's like the two different ammo tubes.
Dual tube.
Oh, yes, it's KSG.
Well, I'll introduce you to the guys at Kel-Tec. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
they're shooters.
That seems like an ideal Jeep gun for me.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
I don't know if you guys ever watch TV or not, but there's this one on HBO now. It's called Peacemaker. It's that wrestler dude. I can't remember.
Cena?
Yeah,
John
it's Cena. And there's a scene in there where he's using the KSG that's pretty rad.
Man, I've wanted that particular weapon for a long time.
It's a workhorse. There's no doubt about it. Definitely.
Yep.
So go and show all our sponsors some love. Go show the guys here at Standing Offhand some love. Go and like their Instagram page. Let them know you're Leadhead. Let them know you heard them here on the show, and that you want them back on, because we're almost 3 hours into this, and I didn't get to hit you with the new guy questions, which we got to do. I got to do the new guy questions with you, because we would have so much fun with that. So we'll save that for the next time you're on.
Part 2.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Don't let me forget. Leadheads, I apologize again for the video. You got like 40 minutes of this, so I'll post instructions on how I'm going to post it up, but I'll make it work for everybody. And until then, if you got questions or anything, shoot me an email, talkinglet@gmail.com. Jack Wagons, questions, suggestions for guests, any of that stuff, talkinglet@gmail.com. Love to hear from you Leadheads. But until then, as always, keep your loved ones close.
Firearms close.
And your guns closer, because you fucking matter.
Yes. Score.
You like that? Perfect.
I'm going with it.